So nobody spoil their appetite before 9. Like snack, but don't like feast. No feasting.
No snacking.
Oh shit, avocado.
I have had dinner at 10 p.m.
No,
the nights I've been here, so I'm set.
Yeah, and like obviously, you can just chuck whatever you don't eat in your bag, and like,
Oh my god.
Hey, here's some steak that was like,
Sure.
It was in the food compartment of the bag. So it was
When I was at Legal Seafood last night, they're like, "Do you want a box?" I'm like, "No, maybe I should have gotten a box."
Yeah.
You should have gotten a
Keep
box
that room temperature
for me.
For Kato.
I have a fridge in my room.
Is that the place you got? Someone at some point got
the bag.
The bag.
That's why I went.
That was legal.
So when Rob was gonna be coming in later, I was like, "Well, I can't get a table there, but there's a bar area." I was like, "I bet I could just." So I walked down there in a hurricane, umbrella going everywhere.
Oh, you were out in that shit, huh?
I did.
Oh no.
And I pulled up to the menu and I was like, "Let me get that bag." They didn't have the bag.
So we had killed 2 restaurants.
What?
Because that was the legal test kitchen.
Oh, that had the bag.
But once
that was a long time ago. That was like
it was pre-COVID.
6,
You're right.
7 years ago.
COVID probably has more to do with the time than us. But I don't know. It could have still been the Klepek curse.
That's true.
Like,
sure.
Shutting down restaurants and outlets.
Wow.
Hey, I think we're making a real turnaround here at Klepek Industries. We turned Waypoint into Remap, and by the time this goes out, maybe Giant Bomb's turned into Giant Bomb. You know.
Sure.
So.
Well, do we want to hold it until that happens? So
I don't.
we can talk about it.
I'm no.
No.
I don't know exactly all. I know enough. I know enough.
I cannot believe that there would now exist a small possibility.
So now I gotta beep that.
Now you can't put that in if you're gonna put it out ahead of time.
Yeah. Well, because
who knows? Patrick could have been talking about the possibility of turning to terrorism.
It's true.
What?
Who could say?
Oh, sure.
Yeah. No.
Yeah. No. I see.
Yeah.
I hear you.
Mm-hmm.
I think the pod started, by the way.
I think so.
No, it
too.
hasn't. It hasn't.
Yeah, no.
That's just not right. But the point is, legal test kitchen shut down, and so I think like because they opened Legal Harborside, which was like their big like 600 seat place, and that's because all the testing, the laboratory, they didn't need it anymore. They were ready to like roll out the seafood Death Star.
Was all the testing happening in the bags I was getting?
Yeah, that's why they were.
That was so fucking good. I've like dreamed about that bag of fish.
Oh my god.
Kind of.
Yeah.
You also find it very cute and quaint that Patrick's blown away by a seafood bag, right?
I've never had it.
Really? Because I would have figured Baltimore, like, they're just winging seafood bags in the street.
I'm sure they are.
Seafood is such a staple of the East Coast.
It is.
That it is like...
I'm not surprised by it.
Yeah.
I've seen it before. I never had one myself.
There's some good seafood bag stuff happening up in Lowell.
Ooh.
If you ever make it up there.
I can't remember, because I think part of the appeal was like I didn't know it was going to be in the bag.
You never know what's going to be in the bag.
It's just the bag.
They had a place
That's part of the thing is that I like to just pick. And in Baltimore, I'm just getting crab cakes whenever I'm going to one of those places. They usually also have crab cakes.
She said crab cakes.
That's what did it sound like?
Kind of sound like crab cake.
Oh no.
Well, it depends on the place.
You get crab in Baltimore, never.
When because I was by myself for dinner last night, I was like, well, I'm gonna get a crab cake. Normally I would, and the person taking my order was like, well, will that be all? It's like, oh, your presumption is that crab cake is enough for little old me. No, I'll also be having a haddock, full meal. Thank you very much. Will I eat all of it? No. Will I eat about half of it? Yeah, because I ate that crab cake.
Yeah, totally.
If I could have gotten the crab cake as a side with my haddock, I would have. Wasn't an option. Wasn't as good as... I was immediately disappointed. It had nothing to do with the meal.
Oh wow.
Because all I did was think about the bag.
Well, also, I think... Okay, this is controversial. I think crab cake is like C-tier food.
Wow.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah, no, Have
you had a good one?
See, here's the thing. I've had quite a few.
Sure.
Under the theory that I just haven't had a good one.
Yeah.
And
do you just not like crab?
No, I like crab. I just think there's something about the traditional seasonings of the crab cake. It's like I don't love the texture. I find it a little oversalted in general. Yeah, I don't know.
I love salt. Salt is in my blood.
Yeah, Rob's wrong on this one.
I believe that's the take we're having here.
No, no.
My grandfather grew up in a town known for its salt mine that got turned into a cathedral. So salt is literally in my blood.
That's kind of a famous town, right? Like,
yeah,
I feel like salt. Like I've seen pictures of the
It's pretty. They got it lit up with really nice colored lights in there, and it's very spacious because they dug down. So
I imagine you gotta keep cats
easy.
out of there though. They'll just like straight up kill themselves.
Lick everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't want to lick those walls. I did it. It tasted bad. It's not just salt.
Oh, not even. Yeah.
It's pretty salty, but it's also
finger goo.
I mean, it's rock. It's rock. It tastes like rock.
Minerally, like other minerals.
I'm sure it helped. It boosts my mineral intake quite a bit.
All right, now this is the start of the podcast. Welcome to another episode of Remap Radio. I'm your host Rob Zachney, and this is episode 92.
I think so.
For May 9th, except
today's
it is the 10th now. But things happened, so now it's for May 10th, but spiritually it's for May 9th.
Totally.
We're turning our homework in a day late. So we are here in Boston all together. I am joined by Chia Contreras.
Hello.
And Patrick Klepek.
2 pro crab cake advocates.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, we should have clapped.
That was the clap.
That was the crab.
That was the crab clap. I don't like that.
Crab claps. Crab claps.
Honey, I came home. I went to Boston. Came home with the crab claps.
No.
Oh no.
That was in the PAX Uprising. It was like it's a demo from
those are the
really promising up and coming developer.
The different house. There's Mother Claps is one of the houses in Molly House. One of the other houses is Sister Crabs. Yeah.
Appealing.
Are you sure you're lit enough, Kata?
Enough.
You look like you're thrown in the shadow. I feel like we moved.
I am also literally darker than you.
Yeah, but no.
Wow,
no.
Very revealing, Rob.
No, you're not wrong. I'm more in shadow. We have just the one lamp, but it's not so much that it's like an issue. I think I'm like I'm in my little gremlin producer corner over
in the
here.
salt mines.
In the salt mines.
You're also holding up my Zoom mic.
Yeah. For people who don't know,
the mixer broke or doesn't have a proper cable.
Look, this is why we need listener and reader support. If you enjoy Remap Radio and wish to become a supporter so we can buy things like mixers, you can learn more at remapradio.com/sign up or just click the orange button in the upper right corner of the website. Our subscribers let us keep doing the shows, the streams, and the articles that define Remap, provided we are able to keep our equipment up and running. Sometimes it's harder than you might think.
I'm worried.
I had a backup.
Yeah, I knew you were bringing this, so I was like not too worried. But I am worried that when I get home and I do find eventually that AC adapter, which may just be with our stream stuff from the IRL stream we just did, that I will plug it in and it won't work and it just got borked. That's my biggest worry. But hopefully I plug it in and it just works. Everything's fine. Everything's happy.
If you live in New York and you understand how to open up a mixer.
Reach out. Questions.
I bet it could be fixed.
Yeah, that's true.
We're in the age of Tariffs where people you need to learn how to fix your own shit.
Yeah, I mean, I can solder shit. I've put switches into cables.
You did a thing with a lamp once. Yeah. You can probably fix a mixer.
100%. Oh, it looks like that circuit seems to be broken. I can simply I'll fix it. And there's you just put a little solder there and it'll be fine, right? That's how that works.
That's how soldering works?
I believe so.
Like toothpaste. You just
Yeah. That's why it needs to get hot though. It has to melt.
Also like toothpaste.
Yeah. Just like toothpaste.
Yeah, preheat the toothpaste. All right, so we are here for PAX East. Well, y'all have been here for PAX East.
Some of us the people who don't live here have come to PAX East.
I was gonna come down yesterday, but then Tilly's ear started to smell truly unholy, and so it was a urgent vet vet check, and it was so that was my afternoon.
Vet check.
Yeah, it wasn't the best. But y'all have been to PAX East.
Yeah,
and I'm sure you've seen some games, some things.
We have. How long have you been running this, by the way? Is this I hit a button that said low battery.
It did?
It did.
I don't know. I got an extra battery.
It's not fully empty. Let's keep going.
Okay. The double laser in my bag. We can get another.
I'm sure we can get another. I wish it had like a little amount.
It doesn't have like an AC adapter thing?
I mean, it does.
We just
Do
don't
you have it?
No, it doesn't come standard. There's no reason for me.
Take?
It's a USB-C.
We have so many USB-C cables.
There's also
The USB-C is just for.
You just knocked the thing off.
Yeah,
it.
you just.
No, it's just the little cover for the.
The USB-C I think is just for data transfer.
Okay,
I don't
so
think it's gonna.
This
power
looks like
anything.
that is a proprietary plug.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, I'm gonna put that back.
Okay.
Are we just gonna? Do we want to just put this video out? We did so much work. We should just put it on YouTube fully.
I mean, yeah, the video will go out.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
but
Just
the
for
video-
people listening
where's
to the
video
audio.
getting the audio from?
I will smash them together.
Layer it
That's
over.
what the clap was for. You know?
You know what? I should have brought the shotgun mic.
You have a shotgun mic?
Yeah,
Oh,
tiny little like Rode, like
nice.
yeah. I should have
For
brought
what?
that.
Sure. To
There
plug
was
it
a point
into
where
the
I thought
camera.
I might need one. And then Kato was like, "That's not good. That's not good audio."
You don't need. It's not good enough for our podcast. It's good enough for a video, but
I was
video.
kind of hoping that like it would all be all in one, right? Where it's like, oh, nice camera, put the shotgun mic up there, then I don't need to mess with. But Kyle was like, that's no.
No,
I hate that.
we got these. We want the nice. These are the broadcast standards.
It's true. Anyway, video games.
Yeah. What have you do PAX differently than I do?
Sure. I'm a
'cause
convention.
You come
freak.
more like an actual convention goer
100%.
than what I do. So what have you done?
I've been in it since Thursday.
Because there's not much to do at PAX East. If you are like someone, I ran into someone last night.
yeah.
And, well, what I mean by to do
Sure.
is if you are going to the expo hall.
Yeah.
And like, oh, I'm at a convention. I'll just walk this expo hall. I will simply find a full day's worth or several days worth of things to do.
Sure.
That does not exist. There
You
is
don't
not
think so?
enough. I don't think so.
Even if you're counting all the indie stuff in the back.
I think you could fill a day.
The thing is that there's lines for everything, so that my first day, well, the first half of my first day, I spent teaching people NetRunner at the NetRunner booth.
But that's what I mean. Like, if you it kind of have to be all in on like going to like
If
the
you're-
free play rooms, the arcade rooms,
Panels.
like panels. If you do that,
can-
it's very easy to fill a
Yes.
couple of days. But like
Absolutely.
the expo hall at PAX West is much denser with more stuff to do.
Right, because that's
than PAX East.
That's Prime or whatever, right?
Yeah,
or
yeah.
The original.
It's also just closer to fall, so there tend to be more games, like
Sure.
bigger relevant games.
It-
like if
it-
that's what you're looking for at a PAX.
It is very funny though, the sort of starkness.
Derek
of,
Carr retired.
As I understand it, his arm like had some chronic issues that like literally. Derek Carr is a quarterback with very nice eyelashes.
Okay.
Mhm.
And he played with the Raiders and also the Eagles, right?
Huh.
No,
Um,
he was on the Saints most
Saints.
recently.
But Derek Carr was sort of one of the quarterbacks of the future. It never fully panned out.
Of the future.
Yeah,
Future,
just like never
future.
quite.
Isn't
never
his
quite-
brother David Carr is like famously known for being like wasn't he like sacked like a bajillion times and it sort of wrecked his
Oh, I
career
don't
early on?
remember.
I think that's right.
Yeah, and I don't think he's any relation to Caleb Carr, the historical novelist. But yeah, but Derek Carr, by all accounts, like a very likable guy, a very good teammate. And yeah, my understanding is, in addition to the fact that, like, let's face it, he hasn't set the world alight in the last few years.
Sure.
Like I guess his shoulder was like kind of giving up the ghost.
Oh no.
Weird. Anyway, sorry.
That's a bummer.
Netrunner.
Yeah, I taught people NetRunner at the booth for the first half of the day. The second half of the day, I kind of took because at that point we knew we weren't recording Friday anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So I took a more like nuanced approach to just trying to find like, okay, I think I want to hit these things on Friday and like make sure I can bounce around and make time for a few of these demos. It's really funny the stark difference between what is obviously meant to be the AAA space in the front of the expo,
Mm-hmm.
where you
Here are
have
the big logos.
the big
We
logos
want
and
you
the
to see that big circus night rain tent.
the big floors, the orb, the half orb, the arc, the dome.
I wish it was a real
I
sphere.
I want to enter the dome. Do you
Apparently,
know what
it's-
happens?
You are one person is picked from the crowd to play with a group of like known Elden Ring. Yes, known Elden Ring like speedrunners and like hardcore players. It's meant to like properly show off Night Rain. The game comes out in 2.5 weeks or something.
Right. We'll be in there soon enough.
Yes, I asked like Namco was like, I didn't have a chance to try the can me and a colleague come over and try it, and they're like, why don't we just like talk to you in like a week and a half or something?
Right. Sure.
I was like, oh, okay, all right, sure.
We'll do it then. I am excited to try to poke around that thing. Still, even
I want to find a live service game for me, and maybe it's not. Probably not.
No,
probably.
Did you sign up for that marathon alpha? Did you get in?
No, I don't. Me playing an extraction shooter? Like,
nah, not
that's
your.
not. I'll do it on like on a stream. I'll do it with you for like 2.5 hours, and then.
Hell yeah! You heard it here first. We're definitely doing a marathon stream when it comes out.
Well, that's assuming they don't delay that game first.
That's gonna be.
I don't know
forever.
if that's actually coming out in September.
But yeah, But yeah, there's a lot of empty space in the front half of the hall.
Yeah, well, a lot of companies have, like, it is wild to me that the only Switch 2 at PAX East is a Switch 2 dev kit that Square Enix has hidden underneath a table, like a tablecloth, because they're not allowed to show it. Showing off Bravely Default. Fantasy Fairy HD. I think that's what it's called. That was not
the remake of the first one.
It's not a remake. It is just like we slapped. I mean, remember that game got on the 3DS. So no
remaster. I guess.
Yeah. So
is the word.
So
sorry. I forgot the whole. Yeah.
Well, like, Nintendo's not here. The Switch 2 comes out in less than a month.
No, Pokemon is though.
Pokemon is, but Pokemon's always here. They have the Play Lab.
Yeah.
Where that's like the card game stuff.
That's all that's here.
The card game.
It's just the card game.
Right. But that's what's happened. I mean,
a lot. Every con.
Yeah.
COVID is kind of where a bunch of companies just pulled the plug ongoing. So like PAX East was one of the big markers of the start of COVID.
Right.
Because I remember PlayStation dropping like companies saying, we are not going to COVID. And it tended to be a lot of Japanese companies, I think, that were saying, we're just not going to go. We're not sending our people. But PAX East, I believe, went on. Still occurred, and then it was like a week later when who's that motherfucker in the NBA that licked the mic? Gobert. He's playing pretty good right now.
I know, but it feels like that remains the thing where people are like, he kind of sucks. Like even in the league,
he mocked everyone, licked the mic, and then PAX East happened.
Licked the mic.
Yes, this is like so genuinely. It does feel like the most cursed like. Mask of the Red Death, but for modern America, basically, where reporters were asking about, it was clear COVID was probably going to shut the league down, probably shut a lot of things down, but he sort of was making fun of them being like, everyone's so afraid of COVID, like y'all are making too big a deal out of it. And he licked the microphone at the press conference, and then like literally
like 48 hours later, Adam Silver shuts the NBA down. Tom Hanks gets sick, and it was like, oh right, like we're about to go through it.
And there was real evidence that he was in fact patient zero on his team. Like, his team suddenly had the whole wave of infections.
Amazing.
So, yeah.
Wow.
So a bunch of those companies dropped out and never came back.
Yeah.
And that's just part of a long arc of once PAX was acquired by ReedPop, who runs. They're just kind of the de facto convention company at this point.
Yeah.
PAX has Gabe and Tycho art, but otherwise it's sort of been flattened into, for better or worse, like it's a regional geek like convention as opposed to something a little more wholly unique, which it just really isn't anymore. So it's just less of a destination. Like, oh, you live in the area? You can go to this. Like, I don't know what it's not Gen Con. I forget. There's an equivalent in Chicago, which is all the same stuff.
Right. So I started at the backside.
C2E2. That's what Chicago is.
But so I started at the back end, which is where all the indies are, right? All the smaller booths, smaller footprints. There was a lot crammed in there, and just kind of like walked up and down on Friday, on Thursday, and like took down names of things I like wanted to try to hit.
The We Harvest Shadows guy was here.
Yeah,
I talked to him for like 20 minutes.
Sick.
You will hear that in some interview.
That area, which is like the what's it called? The indie
PAX Uprising.
PAX Uprising. There's a couple games in there that I wasn't able to hit that I like wrote down. One of them is like what's it called? The diegetic desktop horror game, which
Desktop Simulator or something like that.
No,
that
it was oneway.exe. I think it's the one that I'm thinking of. And I kept looking at it.
We're getting a wave of those games now.
Right.
Like, it feels like
after home, the hotline one.
The hotline.
Home Safety Hotline.
Home Safety Hotline.
That's the one.
Good game.
But the ones that I did see, what did I see? I saw a couple things. I saw A Good Night's Rest, which has been in development for a minute now. They've gone further along. It's a very interesting sort of
KNIGHT or NIGHT?
NIGHT. A Good Night's. Normal night.
I thought it's a video game. It could be KN.
It could be. Absolutely. You have to ask. And one half of it is partially like visual novel vibes. You're talking with people and building relationships during the school time, and then when you go to sleep at night, there is a tactical grid-based fight that, depending on what you do during the day, you get different bonuses like leading into.
I played a game very much like this, Demonschool.
Demonschool, yeah, absolutely. That actually came out, didn't it?
No, it's finally coming out this summer.
It's not out yet. Okay, I thought I had missed.
It got
the
delayed
release.
by. It was supposed to come out like 18 months, or but like
okay,
it's been
that's
pushed back
why.
a little bit. My understanding is it's finally almost actually done. But Demonschool is very Persona coded.
Yes. There's similar vibes in this,
in like school simulator sort of
Right.
stuff, but both dealing with the combat in Demonschool is similar to this, A Good Night's Rest, in which it's a grid based thing.
Yeah, and it's really fun. I love the art style, but they're still like very early on, so just keep an eye out on that one. But some of the things that it does is just like mostly fun writing and like integrating that with the boosts that you get in the nighttime battles, and having sort of requiring a good sort of separation of your units. You got like 3 different like friends that you go with you in
bedtime routine. Don't use phone. -50 rest. +10 lucid. Brush your teeth. -25 rest. +1 health. Read a book. -100 rest. +1 potency.
Yeah.
Take a bath. -50 rest. -30 anxiety.
Right.
So you choose these like little things to do.
That's right. So during the day, you do things that cause anxiety. You do things that are restful and gain you rest, and also things that obviously
What causes
are
anxiety?
Not. I think one of the things was
Existing?
talking to a friend who is having trouble with a relationship, and you're like not sure how to like navigate that conversation, and then it was like, oh, you got some anxiety. I made it through okay, and everyone was happy at the end, but like there's still like some initial anxiety just even engaging with that. I'm sure if it goes bad, it probably gets worse, obviously. So like those are the sorts of kind of things that will happen during the day that will affect the battle at night.
How could you get anxiety over that though? You're just like lose this person or don't. Like, what do you?
Yeah, things aren't nuanced at all. It's just yes
Welcome
or no.
to Rob's
on or off.
relationship advice corner. They fucking suck.
Yeah, and those things will give you different bonuses. There's like a overall mechanic in the fight. I don't know if this is for every single fight, but there's like a sort of like hope meter that allows you to damage the boss, and you have to defeat some of the minions first before but you can also boost the hope meter by doing positive things during the day, but oftentimes those positive things also require you to spend more of your energy, so you can't do all of them. So there's a a little balancing act there. But yeah, it seems really interesting. I'm definitely gonna keep an eye out on that one.
Yeah, Demonschool is really neat. I have tried multiple times to get into Persona games. Part of it is just the sheer length, like
totally.
Like a 90, 100-hour game is just
right.
just sort of a basic turnoff. But
Metaphor Refantasio, who?
Well, Unfortunately, then I played a Claire Obscure.
Right, and then
I think I've like unfortunately I'm gonna fulfill my long RPG like checklist long RPG
done
like,
for the year, huh?
minus 40 rest like plus 30 parry.
Yeah.
Because I don't find high school settings to be interesting. Like just as like a baseline and Persona, that's what it is.
This one, and I think in this one, it's a college setting. You're going around to different dorm rooms.
It's a college,
slightly different.
Yeah,
well, not even Demonschool. I meant a good. Night's rest.
A good night's rest.
Wait, hang on. Is it really college, or is it like we made this college that seems a lot like high school, but everyone's college age because thematically, which is the solution to there are structures to high school that are good for narratives and like a structured game.
In A Good Night's Rest, it is college for sure.
Okay.
In Demonschool, it does feel like what you're saying a little bit. There's a mix of like the classroom kind of looks like I just assumed it's
doesn't
a high
look
school.
like a lecture hall.
Right, exactly.
You got desks in it.
Yeah.
And sure, some smaller classes in college have desks, but like it's a lot of lecture halls.
It reads very much specifically the Japanese high school like formula. Like, it has that look.
It's listed as navigating university life on a mysterious island.
And maybe Japanese university. I mean, you don't see them as often in like anime, so like I wouldn't know. Maybe that's just what some universities look like in Japan.
So the Demon School has really incredible like 2D 3D aesthetic. Like like the art is truly something else. The way the grid works is like the enemies are continuously spawning on the grid unless you can get to the other side. And so what you're trying to do is like manage moving across the grid while also killing enough enemies along the way to make the board navigable. And then eventually it'll be like a spot that says like, hey, go over, you can stop the respawning of the enemies. And so you're sort of, crucially, and I'm not sure how your game works, like you can set up an entire turn, watch how everything plays out, and then rewind it all back step by step. So you can see exactly how each move is going to play out, see how that's gonna work, and then you can like not even action it. You can start over. And yeah, it looks gorgeous. It's really fun to play. The writing is like really. It reminds me a lot of like Night in the Woods. Like you are very Brandon Sheffield, who's an X Games journalist, now does game design and is writing a lot on this game. Necrosoft Games, I think, is their studio. Part of like Night of the Woods, it's like, this is chronically online, but like in a good way. Like, this could be cringy,
absolutely. But
like it's very easy for it to not feel good. And a lot of the writing in Demonschool feels like, okay, you're very online, but
I'm sad we're not getting another game.
I know. I was very sad that
studio had to
seemed to fall. Seemed like a lot went on there, but
and like just like a lot of the unfortunate health stuff with Scott.
Same with the Celeste follow up. Like I was really upset that team, that whole thing fell apart as well.
Yeah, but other games. Did you see Aksun? Did you catch that one?
Excuse me.
Aksun?
Did you sneeze?
No, that would be. Aksun, AKSUN. It is
AKSUN.
The way the developers pitched it is one part Hades, one part Diablo. It has a sort of similar setup and layout to a Hades run, isometric view, and all that. But they wanted a little bit more of the complexity that they found when they played their favorite game, Diablo.
Okay.
In like build differences and abilities and things like that. And it's based on, I believe it was Korean folklore. Has a really cool look, and you can kind of see from the beginning there's like a bunch of things that you can kind of like a lot of little levers to pull before you start a run. Things on like the weapons themselves can kind of act in different ways, and you get a lot of choices to make to start, and then you kind of go in and are unlocking upgrades on these trinkets that you have attached to yourself that kind of inform what your build ends up being. They had kind of two different weapons there. There was like a dual blades that was very close up and very zippy, and a long spear that kind of kept it like did knockback, so it kept things kind of away from you. Which is interesting because there was only so many like of these little trinkets, which are the like side abilities, and one of them was a thing that dropped a bomb near you, like where you're standing, and it's just like after a couple seconds it would explode. So for the build that has the like really close up fast zipping around movement, that was really great for like you hit a bunch of characters and enemies with your like dual blades, but it doesn't do a ton of damage. But then you've dropped this bomb, and you can just like zip away to the next crowd, and then the bomb finishes off everything that you kind of got really low, right? Like that was kind of the flow of that build. And then when I was playing with the spear, I was noticing it would knock things out of the bomb because it had that pushback and it was trying to keep things away from me. But I found an upgrade very early on that said, while you're standing in the AoE of your own bomb, you just deal more damage. So there were different ways to use the same item for different sort of ranges, which is really neat. So, and I had a really good time. I like played through like 3 or 4 runs of like getting to the boss and almost beating. I got very close to like the developers who were watching, like, oh my god, you're gonna do it, and no one's done it yet today. and I got fucking.
Are they
smacked.
lying to me? I don't know.
I think they probably are, but
I don't care. I like it.
It was tough. It's a tough boss battle, and like it hit. I was like I think it was like a third of the health bar was left, and then it hit a new form, and I was like, oh shit, I don't know the moves on this one.
Yeah.
And then it fucking got me. It did that thing, but it was fun, sort of microcosm of that thing that these games, when they're designed well, do very well. Is like learning mastery, making the early rooms faster. Like obviously it took me longer to get to the boss on my first run than it did on my third, and by the third I like kind of zipped through to get to that boss so I could try it again quickly, and was able to pick up make different choices on my trinket upgrades to make like a build that kind of like made the most sense to get there. So that was really fun. Looks interesting. I'm excited for that. They didn't have a date on that, I think.
Their Steam page said 2025.
2020. So sometime this year.
Sometime this year. Do you remember the game that you had a big pop about when I watched a decent amount of the Game Awards with you and Rob, but there was part of it early that I missed, and you sort of lost your mind at the reveal of this game. Can you remember what it is?
No, I can barely remember. I can barely remember. Like
it was a pop in a bat. Okay, here's another hint. They made an Amazon video game TV like episode anthology series.
Oh Jesus Christ! The fucking Pac-Man.
Shadow Labyrinth. Show some fucking respect.
Oh, amazing!
I went into the Shadow Labyrinth.
You entered the Shadow Labyrinth.
I entered the Shadow Labyrinth, and what I found was like a pretty okay, fine, like action.
An okay one of those.
An okay one of those. In fact, the most fascinating thing I found out was they're like, we're going very deep with the references and building out the lore of this world with the Namco Bandai rich tapestry of characters that don't have backstories. And
like Dig Dug? Is Dig Dug
in there?
In
the one of my favorite Namco Bandai games is Mr. Driller. Love that series. He drills. And so when I finished the demo, which Shadow Labyrinth is like it's a pretty bog standard, like totally competent, and like the goofy aesthetics are kind of fun. Like the morph ball version is like Pac-Man, and like you go along like the corners of the walls, and it goes like waka 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 waka. Like it's good. Like it made me laugh, and like there's a parry system. Like it's fine. It's difficult to stick out in a world of thousands of those games, which I assume is part of why they leaned into let's make it a dark Pac-Man game, because it like at least I don't think I would be talking about this game if not for that part of it.
Right.
So, whoops, like they got me.
They did it, yeah.
And they're leaning into it where at the end, I played like 15-20 minutes and it was fine. It felt pretty good, but I don't know that I left it wondering whether I need to play more of it. Except, I cracked a joke when the one of the producers on it, it's like, yeah, we're really leaning into the Namco stuff. I was like, oh, well, one of my favorite, Namco games is the Mr. Driller series. And he's like, well, do you see that tower here in the art? It's like this big, like, big, like, complicated. He's like, those were made by the ancestors of Mr. Driller. I was like, I leaned
Mr. Driller
the
origins.
What?
I leaned over to the guy. I'm like,
the who?
I can't tell if you're fucking with me, and I choose to live in the reality where you're not. He leans closer. I'm not. I'm like,
amazing.
Thank you. So I don't know if Shadow Labyrinth is going to be any good.
Yeah.
But it seems very goofy, and that stuff is pretty fun. So I came out of it. There's so many of those types of games. So one that feels like all right. It's like, I just, last year was 9 Souls, right? Which is sort of the epitome of, if you are going to make a like combat heavy, melee heavy, parry based Metroid style game, like, I apologize, unfortunately for everyone else, like, one of the best ones to ever do it, like, just happened. And so, unfortunately, 9 Souls exists. But Shadow Labyrinth seems fine. And it seems awfully goofy in a way that there's a chance that I end up playing it just because, like, I need to know more about the Mr. Driller's ancestors and why they built that tower.
Speaking of old IPs, did you catch the new Missile Command?
The turn-based one, right?
Yeah. But also not just turn-based, but also like narrative-based. I walked behind that place and I was watching the TVs and I did not know what the game was. And then I looked at the sign and said Missile Command. But what I saw on the screens were cartoon characters talking to each other and like dialogue choices happening. And eventually someone hit the turn-based tactical thing, but apparently it's part of it. Okay. But there's actually a whole like narrative mystery happening outside of it, and like that's just like one of the things you do is the tactical turn-based missile command.
I've always wondered who commands the missiles.
Right, exactly. And now we know. Now we're learning these 3 characters.
I get to know about Mr. Driller's ancestors. Yeah. I get to know who commands the missiles. Like what? 2025 is bad, but like. We're getting some answers finally.
Yeah, Missile Command Delta. I didn't get to play it, unfortunately. I'm gonna go back and try to see if I can get some hands on to see what it's like. But it is the bits of the tactical stuff that I caught seemed interesting enough to like I gotta poke around in there. But I unfortunately didn't get didn't line up a time when I walked by and there was a free thing. So
yeah, the Atari has like, I mean, I talked about that updated breakout that they did with the Bit Trip, the Bit Trip Choice Provisions, I think is the studio name. I didn't return to it after the little bit that I talked about on the podcast, but like, it was cool. Like I enjoyed it, and I guess if you're going to make you own these properties, at least try and do something interesting with it. I don't, like that's...
Like some of these seem like the best option, which is like find some devs that want to make a thing and then like give them the IP
let them do something slightly weird.
Right, like do something weird with it.
We can like at least bank on the fact that people know what Missile Command is. I've always bemoaned the fact that Nintendo doesn't do that more often with a lot of their
because
like,
they're a little more
properties.
precious with
they are, but
IP.
like the couple of times they've done it, like when they did the Crypt of the Necrodancer like Zelda game, like that was fucking awesome.
That shit ruled.
I was like, give Mario to the Super Meat, like Team Meat or something like that. You know what I mean? Like just like
sure,
it's not gonna destroy the brand.
That tracks.
One of the weird ones that I checked out Soda Drinker Pro, does that like ring a bell for anybody? Like
Soda Drinker?
Soda Drinker Pro was a game that came out like 8 years ago. And it's a game it's on its face a game about like drinking soda where like the whole main mechanic is just like group. There's a whole secret layer underneath, like a game within a game. Very smart, very weird and subversive, very like Adult Swimmy sort of like sense of humor. It was a big hit, and the creators on that like have gone on to do like very strange things with like the designer of Soda Drinker Pro told me that at one point they rigged up a version of Soda Drinker Pro to work with like medical equipment that is to help stroke victims like learn basic tasks again, and like he said they've seen like real success with it where it's like their goofy game and you do the repetitive motion is like helping folks with mobility, and like there's a lot of
that's sick.
There's a lot of applications of video games specifically for like rehabilitation stuff. You can like read up on like VR and how it's used for like phobias and things like that, like exposure therapy, and so like this is kind of stuff they've done on the side. Their new thing is something called VCTV. I'm going to do a follow-up interview because I did not fully wrap my head around it, even despite talking to the guy for about 30 minutes. You If you go to VCTV9000.com, it should still be running right now.
9,000.
It will take you to a Twitch stream, which is a 24/7 Twitch stream in which there are like different interactive game shows or like TV shows that you're watching. And the hook of it, well, like, the hook of it is that it's running all the time. Underlying it is AI, and not in the sense that it is like pulling from the internet. They've built their own models and paying people to like everything that's in here is like what we build, like what we draw, what we create, and then it's working from that. And they have a whole section on their website about how anyone that uses their web tools to make stuff and submit stuff, the underlying game engine tracks when it is used or isn't used, and that pays into their royalty like system. It's interesting. Like it's clearly someone who has thought through
Right.
what they wanted to make, which was to build something that could keep going forever. It's like this technology does allow us to do that. How do we do that in a way that, you know, like he showed me like one of the little characters that was like animated up there. He's like, yeah, this was on my phone. And then I put it in the model. I rigged the animations. I spent, dozens of hours building out hundreds of pages of like backstory that like fills in the personality of like what it's pulling from. So it's like I built everything, and it's just the model we have then sort of stitches it together in response to sort of the audience queries and like what's happening. And what was actually kind of more interesting was something as they built this tech and were trying to figure out what to do with it. They had I don't know which company. It's a company that like does game shows, and they built specific tools for them to prototype running game show ideas. So
Wait,
it's like
game shows. Sorry,
like Wheel of Fortune.
like right, TV shows that are game. Not for some reason, my brain went to like other like PAXs shows showing games.
So it's like if you have an idea for like a game show, oftentimes they would like build big sets and like run through them, and maybe it doesn't work. Maybe like that's how they refine the ideas. Here they like build these virtual sets, build in the rules, build in how they want the flow to go, and then watch the simulation like go through it. It's interesting. I told him I was like, you're gonna run into a lot of. This is clearly like you've like very thoughtful in terms of how you've thought about how the technology is used. And for example, he's like, we only use one server. Like it's like very like in terms of like cost, it is not something that like scales in the same way that like a ChatGPT does. But
right.
I was like, I told him kind of straight up. I was like, I feel like the well is so poisoned on the term that even though I think you are approaching this as thoughtfully as one probably could with an idea like this, I think it is going to be a difficult hump for a lot of people to just mentally get over. I mean, the term AI is sort of, I mean, it used to mean I'm watching the enemy patterns of like a soldier in Metal Gear Solid.
Right.
And now for a lot of people, it means like scraping the internet and like stealing from artists and creatives. So I was like, it seems like if you're going to make this, you've done it probably as ethically as one could. I just don't know. Like one other interesting thing was one of the game shows that was happening had this big face, and the character that was talking has the AI aesthetic. Like, I don't know. How would you describe the AI aesthetic? It's not Uncanny Valley, but like it's Uncanny Valley
similar.
adjacent.
Right, because part of the Uncanny Valley is that...
Yassified Hallmark movie.
Ooh, that's
pretty
one.
good.
Yeah,
that's
Yassified Hallmark. Yeah, it's like there's a new Uncanny Valley that has nothing to do with realism and more with things that we are used to on the internet, right? Like even if it's a computer generated image that we're used to seeing, there's that dip there where you can kind of tell that there's a little too much smoothness in some parts, or there's weird parts that are blended because it's obviously just like the two edges coming together that the AI couldn't figure out how to make transition the way that it should, instead just kind of bashes them in. There's like small moments like that, or like on the realistic side, it's just like everything looks like it's been like laminated almost. Things like that.
There's an uncanny smoothness to a lot of stuff.
Absolutely.
So there was a yapping face up, at the demo that was going, and I was like, oh, like is that like, again, like part of the reason I want to do a follow-up is like he could explain some of the more technical aspects in a way that I'm not necessarily as capable of doing. But basically, I was like, oh, does your model like make that face? And he's like, oh, no. Like we paid someone to draw that. He's like, AI is an aesthetic now. So we paid someone to draw a face in the style of an AI face. And then that goes into the model to then like, yes. Because AI does have enough. He's like, no, we paid, like someone was paid good money to draw that. I'm like, oh, okay.
Just like, why make that aesthetic choice though?
Because the like satirical element that runs through it is like, he's always been fascinated by the uncanny parts of like, you know, when you would get spam emails from like a Nigerian prince, right? Like, what are the different ways that like fraud and unreality like exist on the fringe parts of the internet? And like his interpretation is like the new version of that really is like AI, generative AI. And so whether that satire hits, like you find funny or interesting, like, I can't say. I haven't had a chance to sit and watch the stream. So I was like, let's do a follow-up interview where like we kind of talk through this once I've had a chance to actually watch it. But one of the more interesting things I saw at PAX, like I couldn't tell if I liked it, but I was like, you've thought about this a lot.
Yeah.
I don't know that I come out on the other side going, that's great. But the thing about a lot of the AI stuff, I think, is that it has been thoughtless, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And I will say, like, these creatives have spent a lot of time thinking about what they're doing. You might disagree with like what they're doing, but like it's not thoughtless.
Yeah. I played a game that apparently has been out for a bit that I didn't know
happens
about.
at PAX sometimes.
Yeah.
Like, wow, I can't wait for this to come out. Oh no, you can like
it's been out
go
for
on Steam
like
now.
2 years now. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, cool. I'll check it out. It's called GunnRunner. GUNN Runner. GunnRunner. And it's a little pixel-based platformer that has
go on.
Parts of its DNA and references it's making are Mega Man.
Twin stick shooter, huh?
Yeah, so this is the interesting part. So what if Mega Man, but instead of pressing a button to shoot, you held the other stick on your controller in a direction to shoot? But you also start with a dash, and it's very much speedrun coded. There's a little timer, and if you get to the end of the level by a certain amount of time, and most of these are really just little, they're platforming puzzles in the way that you have to hit a certain amount of objects in the level to open a door, and to open the final like exit teleporter or whatever. So you have to navigate and also shoot these things, and there's paths that are like, obviously you can just jump up there and like take a moment to shoot it, or if you dash by it and you're holding the stick up at the same time, you can hit it while moving and not stop to like hit the thing, right? So like there's a helpful little ghost of like, here's the fastest run, and that thing's always fucking zooming, and I could never catch up with it, which is very fun to try though, because they have a button dedicated to reset the level, which happens in a snap. And so I was sitting there like, I'm gonna beat this fucking robot. Like it hit the thing that happened with Neon White for me, right? I was just like, I have the like, there's someone set a bar, and it's like, god damn it, I feel like I can get there. And it was really fun. It was like really snappy, and I had a good time with it. It seemed neat. But it was they put a little sign in the like last level of the demo they have that's like, if you beat this in under 15 seconds, you'll get a free pin. And I was like, oh, I'm getting that pin. I got nowhere. I'm not even close. like, I was so far. I didn't even finish the level once because I was like, oh, the little ghost that's jumping in front of me, that must be the 15 seconds. It was too precise. It was like some speedrunner can probably do that in like a week of practice, and then me sitting here on the con floor, I'm never gonna hit it. I was so sad.
They should have Hop Shot on the show floor.
Oh my god, yeah, where was Hop Shot's booth?
Why is that not like? Doesn't Penny Arcade do? Was it the Omegathon? They still do that?
Oh my god, yeah, that's happening.
We're like,
the Megathon finale is tomorrow, as usual.
Usually that's like a mystery game or something. I don't know. I feel like
there's one of the rounds is like a mystery. Like no one knows. Can you imagine
just making a bunch of motherfuckers play Hop Shot?
That'd be so funny.
Every time That's the game I keep telling people about, and as I explain it,
Yeah.
by the end they go, "Why would you want to like?" So imagine a platformer that's kind of like a golf game, and it's like,
Yeah.
but then you can't see where you're jumping,
Yeah.
and it's all gut. Like that sounds awful. It's like, I know.
The pain is the point.
I agree.
Did you see anything else? Or
I
got two more I can talk about. We can also we're hitting 54 minutes on this recording.
Why don't we take a break?
Take a quick break.
Hey,
put
hold-
battery in.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Before we take a break,
Yeah.
introducing a new segment to Remap Radio. Buying or selling? I'm going to present to you a narrative, and you're going to tell me if you're buying or selling it.
Okay.
Pat has been watching the CNBC.
I'm listening to a lot of sports podcasts lately after the draft. Are you buying or selling that Chicago, nay the nation, is about to enter a renaissance period thanks to the selection of the deep dish Pope, signaling the rise and prominence of Illinois' ultimate big boy, J.B. Pritzker? Rob, are you buying or you buying?
Buying all in. Okay, like this is the
selling.
The restoration of the American Republic is beginning in Chicago. It's gonna happen because we're gonna have like our national like in our lifetime. Thanksgiving, turkey's done. Chicago dogs, baskets of Chicago dogs, fries,
Oh my
gyros.
God. Mhm.
Everyone will be gathering around under the icon of the Kronos girl. And whoever that year's Kronos girl, who'll sort of be like the Republic's fair maiden, signaling our renewal.
What's the most like carb-loaded Chicago staple you can think of?
Oh boy,
Where to begin?
yeah, I mean like.
Give us this day or
hold
daily
on,
what?
hold on.
Instead of
Like,
bread,
you'd
it's
argue like pierogi. Definitely counts. It's like carb in carb, like carb dumpling.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Give
Deep
us this
dish
day or
has
daily
to-
pierogi.
Like pizza, like, honestly, tavern style pizza is probably carbier than deep dish because deep dish you can keep adding
Right.
other stuff.
Right.
Whereas tavern pizza, it's like teeny little like skim of toppings, delicious.
on
crust.
a huge, basically a piece of focaccia or something, right?
Yeah,
Like, it
and then
gets
the
pretty
Chicago
thick.
dog is like, here's a nice big bun.
Yeah, true.
So
Anything.
you're selling?
I don't know. The Pope? Yeah, sure.
No.
Did y'all see Conclave? That's a good fucking movie.
That's a good
And
one.
as we saw, like Conclave was signaling, like, you know what, church could be pretty worse, couldn't it?
I think the whole point of that movie is that if the church knew, it wouldn't.
So I hang
Look,
on.
much like J.B. Pritzker, everyone's going to go, I thought we didn't want, like, our own billionaire. And it's like, maybe I do want my own billionaire.
To fight monsters.
And his name's J.B. Pritzker.
Oh my
Yeah, but
God.
no, I think it is a clear signal from the Vatican
Uh-huh.
that they were figuring out that they are going to need to have someone
Wait,
from
is the woke-
Illinois.
Is the
to
Pope
work.
woke? Is this a woke Pope?
There's some debate about that. So
Is a White Sox fan.
Oh no.
yeah, so the issue is, it appears that there's a lot of people taking comfort from the fact that a lot of the American right, which has sort of adopted a lot of like trad cath weirdness,
Yeah.
really hates this guy.
Oh, that's something.
But there's also the evidence that like this guy sort of towed the party line with like, what are we gonna do with abusive priests? Not turn them over to the courts and like face justice. More like stash them and sort of like, you know, try to sort of sweep this under the rug.
No.
Sadly, our baseline.
That's the entire
Yep.
Roman Catholic Church. So like it's unclear. I don't think people are expecting him to be another Francis necessarily.
Sure.
But my suspicion is he's there because like the American Catholic Church is practically heretical at this point. Like a lot of the American Catholic bishops have become so right wing and so out of step with like church hierarchy that
We have to wrap this up.
yeah.
Okay.
My suspicion is
It yelled at me again.
yeah, my suspicion is they put him in because like if you're gonna have someone clean house, you get a badass from Chicago.
I guess we're throwing the break. We're throwing the break.
Hit stop on the recorder.
Bye. We're recording again on the audio. The camera's still going. It's been going. So we just got to go this.
Hang on, I feel like we got cut off with buying and selling.
I got others. I got others.
Let's keep it going.
I wanted this. Yeah, okay. And we're back. Buying or selling? Are you buying or selling that GTA 6 being delayed is helpful to other video games?
Selling.
Why?
I think it's neutral. Like, GTA exists in its own universe. Of course it's going to help some games that would have come out in the GTA 6, like blotting out the sun window. Other games are going to have to get caught in that, like, someone's getting screwed by the
window has
that
just
game.
moved on a bunch of people who already tried to avoid it, probably.
Yeah, the thing is, I guess I'm neutral, but I'm selling in the sense that GTA 5 is a forever game. And GTA 5 became a forever game by accident. Like, yes, they did GTA Online, but that game came out, when did GTA, it was 12 years ago.
Long time.
Right? Like, it was
Long time.
2 generations ago. And so, they kind of rode this wave of becoming a game that, like, there are GTA players like there are Madden players. Now, there's probably crossover between Call of Duty, GTA. Like, I'm sure there is overlap, but like GTA 6 is a kind of like blot out the sun.
Yeah.
If people jump on GTA, they're not playing other games. But I'm not convinced that the alternative is true. If they don't play GTA,
right,
they buy other games. Like I don't buy like. Funny enough, who kicked this off was Brandon Sheffield, like the Demonschool. He was the one pointing out, like, no, I think GTA being delayed is good because it means that other games have a spotlight. And it's like, well, I just think the games that are going to get blotted out are just different. And so the fall is different.
Right.
But I think the vast majority of the money going to GTA 6 is not going to go to other video games. And Matt Piscatella, a Circana analyst that we got to get him on the... We were supposed to have him on a podcast at one point, and then the scheduling fell apart. We just have to have him on. He pointed out that whatever money you think would go to other video games as a result is balanced out by the lack of investment that you're going to get from external capital as a result of, the result of the release of GTA 6 means 10 million new PlayStation 5 owners are going to exist because a bunch of people are going to buy hardware specifically to like play GTA 6. Mm-hmm. All of a sudden you would invest in games if you thought maybe there's 10 to 15, 20 million new hardware owners. So I am selling. Buying or selling? Are you buying or selling that Boston weather appears to be awful no matter when you come?
I thought we were gonna avoid the fucking monsoons.
Rob claims that it was nice last week.
It was, you know what? Thursday was great. It was beautiful Thursday.
Yeah, so it's
Saturday now.
I'm buying. Look, there is no, like, Boston's not good. Like, you're not going to beat the charges that, like, Boston gets hit by Atlantic squalls all the fucking time, any time of year.
Yeah.
Now, I will say, in May, I would not expect this weather. Like, this is kind of funny because it was like they're finally going to, people will finally get to see, like, the great thing about New England is it does all 4 seasons really well, but you do have occasional days like this no matter what. This was I'm there on Saturday, I open up the weather app, and it's like every day
Rob messaged
for
me,
a solid week.
I think Rob, there was a tone of like, I'm disappointed in the place I live in. Like when he messaged me to be like,
sure,
the weather's going to suck. Like, I'm
it's
sorry
gonna
on
be
behalf
bad
of like the region. Like, it was gorgeous this last week.
Yeah,
it was gonna be idyllic, and then it's just slightly warmer, but just as ugly as it was when we came last March.
I'm on the I didn't even notice the rain. Really, I looked outside, and it was raining.
See, that's the problem. Nerds don't deserve nice weather.
We're inside, baby. We're not we outside. We inside. We're fucking playing games.
I'm glad I brought 2 pairs of shoes though. My walk to legal seafood resulted in.
Ooh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Buying or selling? If you are walking from the Boston Convention Center to Legal Seafood,
sure,
to have a nice meal by yourself, and you have to walk in the rain, and you've done your best to avoid the water, but like there's just traps you can't tell. The elevation of the sidewalks and streets is not always, especially in the dark, like capable of seeing where I should step.
Totally.
My feet are wet. My socks are wet. I pulled to the bar. Are you buying or selling that? Is it okay if I like sort of slip off my shoes so that like they're still connected? Like I'm taking them off. I'm taking them, but
I'm sorry.
What's
I'm selling.
What's your radius? What's your radius?
Like no one.
Who's the closest person next to you?
I got whole seats open left and right. If someone was sitting next to me, I would not do this.
Okay. How close is the next person? I need a feet amount. How close? How many feet?
Where you are.
Could you show us on this?
Selling.
Could you show us on this camera? What are you doing here, Patrick? You show us on the show the feed.
Oh, so so I'm sitting at the bar.
Yeah.
Like I'm up here. Like
so how much?
And down here is like a metal bar that like runs alongside.
Right.
Yeah,
so your feet aren't actually touching the ground. They're on sort of
because you're higher.
You're higher.
The bar seats are higher.
So my feet are there, and I'm sitting there, and I'm going squish, 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 squish with my feet, and I'm like
horrible.
I'm gonna move my feet out for just like 5-10 minutes. And then
Okay, so you slide your heel out
like
for the audio only people. Patrick has slid his heel. His foot is halfway out.
I didn't
basically
take them all the way off.
Not all the way off.
I just sort of like
the heel is hanging out the back. The toes are still inside.
I am gonna say you got to do what you got to do, but I'm still selling.
Well, I think I would. Sell
this is too close.
I think I would sell it.
If you've got like.
But I did
15-foot radius. You're safe, I think.
15 foot. What's the word? Is this the smell?
Yes. You might not notice, but there's a wet smell to socks and feet that can sometimes start to emanate.
You think the shoe is preventing that from escaping?
Absolutely. Yes. 100%.
It's helping.
It's absolutely helping. 100%.
Buying, selling, helping. All right. I mean, look, I don't even disagree with. I was there by my.
I think you
got. This was one of those. I looked around.
I mean, but like it sucks. I get it. I wouldn't like.
I noticed one person I knew, Jeremy Parrish, but he was very far away, and like he can't see me.
Sure.
So I just
and basically a little pig man anyway. Yeah. So like.
Fucking retro games.
Yeah.
So I scanned and like did one of those like. I would never do this. If like I was thinking I might get dinner with Rob. It didn't work out because he got in late, and I was like. I would not do this.
See, I actually don't think Jeremy Parrish would do this in a million years. I actually think Jeremy Parrish would not like be busting the tutters out.
No, I don't. I'm not saying he would. What I'm saying is,
well, tutters weren't busted. Tutters were still in the shoe.
I'm saying, could he see me? Who am I going to be judged by?
Right.
I'm okay being judged by Boston
randos.
No, I can't be judged anymore. We have the deep dish Pope. Like I'm sinless.
Not how Catholic work. That's not how.
I get at least a full year pass. Caleb Williams 4,000 yards.
What's the name for when you sell religious things again?
Indulgences.
No, those are the things you sell. It was in the Conclave. I watched that movie just now.
Yeah.
Solipes?
It's what the one guy he's like selling favors.
Yeah, what the one guy gets got for, right?
It's an old timey crime.
Spoilers for Conclave, by the way.
Simony.
What is simony?
It's when you sell religious favors, basically. Like you sell something that you shouldn't be selling in the church. It is a crime in the church.
So
you've seen saw?
Yeah, I watched it months ago.
It's that one guy. The one guy is like buying off votes. That's simony. Yeah.
So you're saying me removing half of my foot from my shoe?
What I was saying was
an insult to the bar of the legal seafood.
What I'm saying is that saying that you are free of sin because of the deep dish Pope. The deep dish Pope does not absolve you of anything, and there was an implication there about buying into Chicago stuff that I thought maybe was getting close to Simon.
I do think because of these issues, the Boston weather though.
Yeah.
You need to have a pair of shoes that are not like athletic trainers that are gonna have like the soft like breathable mesh.
Yes. Boots, baby. I packed 2 pairs of shoes just for this season.
Shoes like this. I used to have a pair of golf shoes that there's like certain fabrics, like the water falls off. You like step in a puddle, and it won't. But I didn't do that because what was the other option? I bring like extra socks with me. Switch those socks at the restaurant.
No.
You just need shoes that don't do this.
You just need shoes that are gonna protect your feet when it's really raining, which is why I brought my new fancy Solar Bears. These aren't Docs.
2 pairs of shoes at least.
These
are my running shoes.
They're the original factory that made the Docs, but they can't call themselves Docs anymore because that Doc Martens no longer uses them.
Well, and Doc Martens build quality has come under real
interesting
criticism.
how that's happened.
Yes, the factory that used to make Docs.
They're not called Soul of Air, like the how Docs have the bouncing soles. the airware.
Yeah.
This on the tag instead it says soul of air because they're air soles. They got air in the soles. They're bouncy. They're good for your feet. They're comfortable to walk in.
This is literal buying or selling. I just got a notification. Inflatable frog costume with crown.
Yep.
Out for delivery.
Yeah, it's like one of those.
That, you buy this for Ocado?
Blows up.
Yeah.
That's
Did you
amazing.
buy this for Ocado?
No,
for me.
it's for Patrick.
It's for
Patrick
me.
is
Here,
the frog.
let me,
I'm so excited. How much does it inflate? Maybe we don't need to know. Maybe we save that for whenever.
I'm sorry. I need. Is this being delivered here today?
No.
Okay, you're not going to show up at the meet.
No.
Oh, that would be amazing,
That
though.
would have been very funny.
You should have had it delivered to me here.
Here is
Wow!
Big boy costume.
Oh my god!
It comes with
Y'all are gonna love this.
Comes with a little blower, so you might have to do some audio work. I don't
Chat,
know how loud
it'll be
gonna
worth
be.
it. It'll be worth it. Chat, you're gonna love this. You're gonna love the way Patrick looks.
If you're watching the video version of this, you should be able to see a version.
No
of it.
spoilers. No spoilers.
Oh, no. I don't know if this video's going up. It's sometime.
Yeah,
maybe on
who
Monday
could
or
say?
Tuesday.
Who could say?
All right, last buying and selling. Are you buying and selling that the future of video games is smaller developers like the folks who made Clair Obscur? Which I should point out as an aside, they recently did an interview with Gene Park at the Washington Post and were like very upfront and clear that one, they are not 30 ex-Ubisoft developers, they are 3 ex-Ubisoft developers and a bunch of other folks. 2, they said they work with hundreds of contractors. So the narrative of like it's 30 people is untrue, but the idea of like smaller team, like working with contractors, like the game is $50. Tied into that would be the news this week that they announced the release date for Mafia: The Old Country. That game explicitly is going to be $50. They said alongside with that, we're excited to offer a game like Mafia: The Old Country in our portfolio to provide a linear, highly polished narrative experience that can easily complement the other more persistent games our players also love and engage with on a more consistent basis. So you're buying and selling the idea that we've talked about, like sort of like the middle class, like or like a AA sort of tier video game.
Right.
Do games like Clair Obscur, which I think fall into that category, smaller team, you know, like cheaper price point, especially as other games go up. Mm-hmm. Is that the future of video games? Connor, are you buying or selling?
I am buying mostly because it feels like the platform holders like studios are not doing too hot in general. I don't know how sustainable it is as an industry overall, but like one hopes. I think I don't have enough like knowledge in like the business side to like really foresee, but I would like it to be right. Like it seems like a lot of my favorite games come from that area. Anyways, like the double A's down tend to just have a little bit more creative freedom because there's less pressure on it to sell the like maximum amount of units.
You have to sell 20 million copies to turn a profit.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm buying it too, but from the standpoint of, I think here's the problem I have with some of this. I think it's really easy for people to hear that and be like, and that's a good thing, right? Like, future of the industry, it's gonna be more small developers. But what we're describing is also like greater precarity, less like job security, less like less career development for a lot of people.
What if
like,
Clair Obscur bombed?
Or
it just disappears.
Or not even that. It's like, okay, so it does well for that core team of people that made things. What about the contractors? Like, what's the contractors' outcome in all this? So they sort of paid peanuts up front because it's like cheap contractors, but all the back end goes to the core studio. It's good news for like the people doing the core creative work, and it might create like greater opportunities overall than like the major studio system is generating. But also it does mean that a lot of things that used to be studio jobs and like part of a like long career at a AAA studio is now happening at a contracting studio that we don't know what kind of like conditions. Frequently, we're not going to know what kind of conditions they're under. We don't know what the rates are, and we don't know what their security is. Right? Like they're going to have to be after you wrap up work on Clair Obscur, you immediately have to be. You know, it's the freelancer thing. You're immediately turning around and, okay, we need another similar scale job. That is the part where I see that headed is, the future is heading that way because everyone's trying to, like, offload risk. and so headcount is risk.
Yeah. But
contractors let you make that up.
It also feels like there's not even that much job security in the AAA space, though, given how often we're seeing layouts happening. Right, like I think, unfortunately, like maybe that used to be true, but it feels less true these days, right? Like,
well, right. I mean, it's like, but it's part of that trend that
right.
AAA studios aren't going to grow anymore. It's not going to be, we're going to have like hundreds, thousands of people with like full-time jobs, benefits, career development paths, etc. It's going to be smaller teams, and then these sort of, a legion of contractor studios doing specialized work.
Yeah.
And that's going to be kind of a crapshoot. Now, that doesn't necessarily have to be a bad thing overall. I think, if you were to look at some of the way Hollywood works, there's a lot of guild protections that exist for things like this, where the movie studio doesn't keep everyone who makes a movie on full-time payroll, but everyone in that in the trades that works on a movie does get certain benefits.
The union is the employer. The guild is the employer.
Right.
Is the structure and security and safety
right.
of that would traditionally go to an employer, but none of that exists for this infrastructure that makes a game like Clair Obscur work.
Well, and also that
in tech specifically too, it doesn't happen. Really.
And in Hollywood too, the VFX studios
right.
do not have these guilds and protections, and that I suspect is the model that this sort of contract studio thing is going to most closely resemble. Yeah. Oh, this studio is really good at generating this type of art and animation. They specialize in this type of work. We'll just farm it out to them. We'll send some guidance, and whatever their conditions are, that's whoever runs that studio. That's their business. But it doesn't come back on us, which also creates a degree of plausible deniability when it comes to things like working conditions. It gives you an easier, happier story to sell when it's like, I think we've seen a lot of this with Clair Obscur, where it's like, what a plucky, awesome studio. And some of that is people ascribing value judgments to this mode of production. It is nice to think about everyone being like, fuck you, soulless AAA studio that doesn't let us get good ideas out. We're going to go make our own thing and everyone loves it. It gets a little more complicated when it's a handful of people did that, and then hundreds of others were sort of, doing contract labor. And we will, it might make it harder to sort of track and hold to account some of the labor issues that are already endemic in the industry, because we talked about this with various outsourced QA studios, where Microsoft would be able to say, on the one hand, we're definitely we're very union friendly. We're not going to oppose any workplace that wants to unionize, but this contract studio out in
wherever,
Nebraska or whatever, they're unionized, but obviously that contract studio doesn't want to recognize that union. But that's not us. That's not Microsoft.
Right.
That's an internal business. I worked at when I worked at Red Bull, there was some real shenanigans with, did I have a paycheck that said I worked at Red Bull? There's certain
what?
Sometimes there are careers where it's there's sort of permanent contractor positions.
Well, when I was at MTV, I was what they call the permalancer, which is you negotiate. Well, I was 22. I did not negotiate anything. I was told this is what we can afford. You're getting a salary at an hourly rate. Every week I would turn in a time, or every 2 weeks I'd turn in a fucking time card.
So permalancer is one thing that's pretty standard, but standard contract labor, but you're still contracted to whatever company you're working for.
Yes.
No, what I'm talking about is and this has been used to end run around certain workplace protections, but there are companies where a significant number of full-time staff at the company are actually consultants working for a consulting company that is a third party.
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so there's a lot of ways companies will sort of end run around these sorts of protections and requirements.
That is
so when you hear
wild.
When you think about when you hear things like this, you always have to think about what are also the ways that it can be operated in a bad faith. And one of those is
maybe they didn't, but if you are establishing it as a model, it's what are the consequences of that model? How can
let's
that
put it
model
this
be
way:
exploited?
if there's a contracting company that only does QA assurance for one Bethesda studio, that's their entire book. that is a Bethesda studio, right? Those are Bethesda employees.
Right. You can't just have one client.
Right. And you
I mean,
can't,
you can, but...
and it can't be 2 clients, 3 clients in a trench coat, and it's all the same client.
Right,
where it's like, and so you sort of have to think about like how things like that can be done in bad faith as well, where it's like, look, it's not our first party studios that are doing this. Yes, there are some issues with contractors, but like that's not on us. This is the sort of stuff that like People Make Games was talking about earlier this year, and I think there's going to be a push toward that as well, because I think there's a measure of there's a lot of different types of games that are difficult to make without a measure of exploitation. Or at least the a lot of the people in charge have not like put forth the effort to figure out like how to make it so that the process is like less disruptive, less painful, and is more lucrative to the people doing it. And I think contract studios solve some of the problems, which is I want to get a lot of work for not very much money. But that isn't going to solve. In fact, that's going to drive other problems of, well, if it's not very much money, then what are these people getting out of it? What is the quality of life working at a studio like that? And I think in some ways that is going to be how, like, in addition to the fact that AAA space is as kind of pointed out, like, struggling to begin with, that is going to be how some of these places also meet the challenge of, as we saw this week, the Overwatch team unionized. Like, that there is going to be increasing pushback at some of these studios.
So the design team, is this beyond the QA team? I didn't.
It was wall to wall. So so it is the entire Overwatch team unionized over at Blizzard. Kotaku had the story, but so they're the second team to do it, in addition to the World of Warcraft team, and they sort of called out the fact that. Yeah, did that window open? I opened it.
No, there's something. Someone's just holding the horn.
No, but Rob did open it in between.
I thought I closed
segments.
Oh no, you're good. I was just like, hold on a second. I'm getting some. Someone's leaning on that horn.
I did close it. It just the latch had actually.
It missed the catch.
Yeah. But yeah, so like that team, one of the things that drove that unionization was.
Just a little further back. There you go.
They've been rocked by layoffs repeatedly.
Right.
Their bonuses got canceled. So at that point, they kind of did the math of, well, we're not getting the benefits that we used to from, just sort of letting things go as they always have. So we need the protections. And I think that's a good thing. But I think those pressures are also going to have a lot of studios being like, but what if we just didn't have to have that many employees bearing the direct cost of these choices?
Right. Well, Godspeed to them.
Yeah.
But, as we talked about last week, I'm not saying it's easy to form a union.
And then you got to go get the contract.
Gotta get the contract.
Yeah.
Now, I will say, a wall-to-wall studio doing that seems like hopefully they'll have a better shot. They can wield more power in terms of, a QA team that unionizes. It's not hard to imagine how you find someone else to pick up the slack on that if they chose to go on a labor strike.
Right. Ethan's piece basically says anyone who doesn't have direct reports is in that union.
Okay.
So that appears to be where things are at
now. That's awesome. That's really great to hear. So that's been buying and selling.
Yeah.
That was fun.
Yeah.
Nice. Any other games you want to talk about before we move on?
I have a couple more that I saw. Do you have any more? You want to go first?
Go ahead.
I'll go first. Okay. One that I saw is called Hank Drowning on Dry Land.
Oh yeah, I walked by that one. I didn't play it, but it looked neat.
Yeah, it is neat. It's got a sort of what's the kind of 90s era comic book aesthetic. And you play this character Hank, and it is a fun little puzzle game where what you end up doing is you're trying to in the demo that they have on the floor, you're trying to hit 3 buttons that are in various areas of this little maze area that you're in, and they're all in different places. and you only have like a minute of time, and this is real time. It's counting down. It counts down during the dialogue, and that actually clued me into the fact that while the evil villain is monologuing about the time bomb, I can actually start walking. You can get going at
That's really
early
funny.
on, which is very funny, and it's got that sort of humor kind of built into it. And in this specific level, I'm not sure how the rest of the game kind of works out, but in this specific level, you have the villain has sent a dog to chase you out amongst this little maze garden area. So you're running away and you're finding ways to slow the dog down by like closing a door behind you as you keep running, and like all the whole time you can always like hit the like right bumper or something to see where the clock is at, and it's real time. So you're trying to find these buttons, and you reach one and then you realize there's absolutely no way in hell that I'm going to be able to hit all three within the like 40 seconds or whatever that I actually have to hit them. But once you find the first one, you find this little mirror called the time mirror that you step through. And then your character steps back out at the beginning of your run, if you consider the first moment that you leave, that you start trying to leave where the villain is monologuing. And so now there's two of you. There's one back where you started and one at the first button that can now interact with new things in the world at a different time points.
Okay.
So it's this puzzle where you want to have your character find different areas, but you can never see your old selves, because then you create a time paradox and you lose. So you have to avoid the paths that you just took, find new paths to find new interactables to change the timing on things. It's a very neat little puzzle. And very funny writing to go along with it. It's awesome.
Yeah, the developers
music.
are saying it's like influenced a lot by like Batman Beyond specifically.
Yes, totally. I see that. Yeah, 100%. It's got that sort of aesthetic to it, and it was really charming, and it's just very fun. Like, and then like now you start dominoing different effects, and like at a certain point, I ended up killing the dog that was chasing past me. Well, I mean, it's an evil like monster dog. It's okay. It's not like a normal dog.
Okay.
It's not.
It had a tag that said evil.
It's like the you know, you end up shooting a zombie dog in Resident Evil. Sure, it feels bad, but you had to do it. So, that sort of thing.
I guess. Yeah, I guess. Could just run around.
I love how like Indiana Jones is real careful about what to do with those dogs. Where like the dog is just like, I sit. That's how you defeat the dog. The dog is just like, I sit.
Yeah.
All right, I'm down, and then it will scamper off out of play.
That's very funny.
But Indy is not just like mowing down German Shepherds.
It's funny that you mentioned Indiana Jones, because one of the things that I literally had to do was time a rolling boulder.
Fuck that.
So like
Not
as I like my old past self turns a corner, I was able to drop a boulder into the path that the dog was chasing me down. So at a certain point, I just didn't need my past self didn't know this would happen, but I didn't need to be running from the dog anymore, which is a very fun little trick of timing there. But yeah, it was super cool. I don't know. Does the scene page have a? It's
got a demo. So there's
a demo.
There
so you can try the demo on Steam.
Some games that are at PAX East. It's worth looking up. Anything we've talked about. Sometimes there'll be a demo.
Did they have a date though?
No, it just said coming soon.
Coming soon. Yeah. They
it looked pretty polished though. So
yeah, it did.
I wouldn't be shocked if it was coming.
I'm sure
out
it might
year.
just be there. Might be still be working on polishing later bits of content, but and then I have one more.
One other game I checked out. I think you had pointed this out to me. Love Eternal. It is a horror platformer, which is a rare combination of game. It's been published by the same folks that are publishing Demonschool. They have a really interesting lineup of games. There
was that middle one too that had a cat. Did you see that?
It's the only one I didn't play.
I want to play that one. That one I put on my list.
And like I could fit in 2.
Yeah, I'm gonna definitely try to make sure I hit that on Sunday.
Love Eternal. Like kind of psychological horror, Silent Hill sort of aesthetics and vibe, matched up with VVV as a platform. So like the main platform mechanic is like you jumping off and like reversing like gravity and like throwing yourself around. It's got at one scene, like you play as like this daughter, and she comes back into her dining room as things are all getting weird, and her father has mutated into a father spider hybrid. I didn't appreciate that. I didn't.
Wow. That feels targeted.
Very targeted. Very upsetting. I simply would not turn into a spider.
Right.
Personally.
Of course.
Although I suppose if possessed by demons, they'd be aware of my own issues and then would turn me into a spider as a result. So yeah, like VVV is still is like really excellent, like all-timer platformer, super difficult. Then Love Eternal seems like it's on the challenging side as well, but like really cool visuals and vibe matched up with really good feeling platforming. So yeah, highly recommend people check that one out too.
Awesome. Nice. This last one I messaged you about.
Yeah.
Because I had a really good time with it. And I was able to sit down for a long... They didn't stop me. Do you remember when you played... what was it? The fucking... God, what was the game? The Quiet Man, yes! It's
I realized
the whole game is here.
I realized the whole game was loaded on the machine.
Oh, God, that's beautiful.
I think someone... Because I then passed that
right, you passed
around.
that. Someone like played the whole thing.
I think someone played through the whole game. Like,
that's
there
amazing,
at the booth.
and they didn't stop them.
No.
So this reminded me of that just because it's like there were little signs in the booth that said like 30-minute playtime, and I had actually come by and like they had openings, so I booked one for later.
I mean, if no one's there.
What?
If no one's behind you, like
Oh yeah. I expected them to cut me off though, right?
Well, often if you play games at conventions, they will build in like a hard lock where it's just like, thanks for playing, go wish list.
But they just let me go. I literally had to stand up at a certain point and be like, oh shit, I'm supposed to be somewhere else. But Fretless is a really cool narrative RPG pixel art game that has it is a deck builder of sorts. So we've got one thing. There's kind of cards, but it's got an interesting battle system.
You could look at any turn-based role-playing game as like having card metaphors.
There's a screen where you can take cards in and out of your deck.
Card. Okay.
They never say card, but I know what a card looks like.
I'm safe.
Yeah.
They say card, then like, ugh. We just don't say it.
Yeah.
You wink at it.
It's your
like buying
it's
or
your
selling.
It's
is
your
this a card?
It's your song book, and you're putting different what was the term for them? I think just like shredding, like lines or shredding, like
staves,
something like not staves, not that. That's just, but like different like fret bars, I think, or something like that. I forget the exact terminology used into the like choices that you'll pull from the deck, but it's not, again, they don't use card terminology, but imagine cards and a deck, and you've kind of got what your action selection system is. But you choose 3 of these cards to play, and each one has a musical based timing component to the attack that is kind of similar to timing components in other turn-based RPGs, like the
active time, or
more like the
paper trigger, or like Clair Obscure, I guess, or you press button prompts to get like critical hits or like more.
But this is more kind of animation locked, like based and music based. Like you can hear the beat of the music happening, and you're gonna want to press it on the beat, and you do get a visual cue as well, but it uses a lot of audio cues, which are traditionally one of the ways you can get that. But you don't see like a button prompt, hit A now or whatever. It's just you hit the button when there's an outline of your character that turns yellow, and if you see it turn green, that means you hit it on the beat, and it gives you extra damage. And it reminded me of like the Paper Mario, like if you hit it just when you like jump on the head, that sort of timing, but linked to the background music and linked to the music, and all based on your character, who is a musician and is playing a guitar. So you do a little riff, and like you have like one final strum on the attack, and that's usually where the the button prompt is placed. And it was, the animations were all really cool and fluid and beautiful, and like it was really fun to like learn each of the riffs, like the way you would kind of learn music, like through repetition of me doing these attacks over time. I started to get that timing, and it felt like I was learning these songs that the character knew how to play. It was all really, really cool. And
that's cool, because this should be for me. Like,
sure, right. This I thought.
I have
rhythm based.
There was a demo
music.
for this at Steam Next Fest, and we didn't end up doing it.
Right.
I ended up not picking it, but I have to. It's like it. I look at that art style,
sure,
and I'm so tired.
Oh no, I liked it.
I'm not. There is nothing.
Yeah.
Like looks beautifully done, but like
yes,
especially the types of games I play.
Sure.
Like indie platformers, like action games, like. I've been in the pixel mines for so long. I have licked the walls of these pixel mines, and they taste like pixels.
What are we talking about? Was that in the pod?
It's gonna be.
Yeah.
Or put it at the end.
Now it has to be, yeah.
And it's unfair. It is unfair, but like,
sure.
When I like live in a world where I have to make like snapshot judgments of like where I spend my time,
right.
And like part of like doing like Steam vents and stuff like that is to try and like push back against that, like to just to try different things and not do the snap judgment. So that's good to hear that you played it and you really like it, because it comes out soon. There's a demo for this on May 22nd. So
yes.
I will send them a note.
Nice.
And I will play this game. I will give
Hell
it a
yeah.
shot. But that kind of stuff, like putting music mechanics into other genres is one of my you know, there's a reason, like
it immediately reminded me
the Rapper, Jammer Lammy, like Jammer Lammy. I haven't said that name out in a long ass time. Vib Ribbon. You ever play Vib Ribbon?
No.
Vib Ribbon was a PlayStation 1. I don't know if it was from the Parappa creator or not, but it was an era in which Sony was doing lots of really interesting music-based stuff.
Right.
And people were doing lots of cool experiments on the PlayStation 1. Did you ever play Monster Rancher?
Sony doing music stuff? I wonder why.
I know. Did you ever play the original Monster Rancher?
Is that the one you could put in
You could put in audio discs
CD
and it would spit out monsters.
Yeah. I watched that cartoon. Sure. I never played the games.
Okay. Though. I didn't know this cartoon. I believe you.
Yes, it was on the Saturday morning 4Kids anime blog.
Right next to Digimon?
Yes. It was literally, yes.
Okay. That sounds about right.
Yep. And I was there for that.
Digimon are the champions.
Yes, they are.
So the Vib Ribbon was a similar thing where it was you played this like little like kind of straw like very simple looking rabbit character, and the platforms, which were often like pits and these spiky things that you would jump over and dodge, were all built around. It would analyze it was analyzing the music on the disc.
Right.
And then using the music to build a level. I don't think you were playing it in sync with the music. I don't think like the drives would have been fast enough. I forget exactly how Vib Ribbon worked in that regard. Actually, maybe in a PS2 game, but either way, like but I love when games play with like music and like and infuse that into other styles of games. So on that merit alone, I will have to give Fretless a shot.
It's great, and there's just so many cool little bits about it. The way that there's some of the cards sort of combo together. There's you start off just with your acoustic guitar, and and then eventually you get a bass in the demo that I played, and so each instrument has its own sort of like sets of cards.
Does someone come out with a drum set?
No, it's just you at the beginning. I don't know if you get multiple characters eventually, but for the start, it's just you. And the bass had this like slap system where you're SLAP dot with the periods.
Did they actually do that?
Yes, they did.
Oh, all right. I was just making a joke.
I don't know what it stands for.
That's
but
so funny.
You build your slap meter and then like unload it on a big attack after you've gotten it full. And lots of fun little different ways to map through those. And also, you're doing the same music-based timing game on defense too, so you can block attacks as they come in.
Okay.
And the music was great. Like, it was really fun. Like, I was just like bopping my head trying to get that timing, like boop, boop, boom, and like I looked up at the other people at the demo stations and everyone's like, bobbing their head kind of in sync. And I'm
Well,
like,
I do that when
you.
I usually like tap my foot
Yeah.
when like I'm playing a music game or like trying to hit the timing
Yeah.
on stuff, and so yeah, very much with you there.
But yeah, very cool. I really enjoyed the art style, and I found a little secret boss that changed the music style drastically, which was really fun. Like it's more sort of like acoustic guitar music for the like area the beginning area I was in, and then I forgot, it was a big spider, but it was it
great.
turned into like heavy metal all of a sudden, and it was very good. And you kind of had to like shift your timings a little bit because the music genre changed too, so it was neat. Really enjoyed it. Fretless
out soon.
May 22nd.
I will check it out myself.
Yeah, and it's not roguelike. I said deck builder, but there's no roguelike part to it, so I didn't say the
Which
thing.
means I'll play it.
Yeah, right, exactly. It's a narrative story based RPG, turn based. It's that's great. They should do more of these. It doesn't have to always be a roguelike.
A couple things. I got to play like 40 minutes of this game called Crimson Desert. You've probably seen.
Yeah,
as one of the bigger
big
booths
old booth,
at PAX. Best way I can describe it is like Witcher 3. Really feels like a lot of the inspiration they've taken is specifically from Witcher 3. A lot of the like the way the world looks, like the way you like. But like Witcher 3 was a game where like the combat was just good enough to not be irritating.
Sure.
But I wouldn't describe it as like particularly like fun or well made.
Sure.
Like it was good enough to justify exploring the world and the storytelling and the writing and the characters in that
Serviceable.
game. It was serviceable, but like I never felt like I'm having a great time fighting enemies in Witcher 3. And the thing is, it was balanced out with like incredible storytelling. With Crimson Desert, now granted, all they were showing was like these combat parts. Combat feels like really good. It's very physicsy, where like there's a lot of destructibility in the environment. So like I played against this big ass guy, and he'll like whip you across the map, and I just like ragdoll like across like different like stone columns in this crumbling castle, and the stone columns fall down like as I'm fighting. So the combat feels pretty good. It looks a lot like The Witcher 3, and like their big thing was kind of like a Skyrim type thing. It's like you see that mountain? You can go over there. Like, you see that desert? You can go over there. So the world seems fucking enormous. But I have no idea if the story, the world, the characters are like worth giving a damn about. They showed absolutely nothing of that. I just got to play 3 different boss fights that all felt pretty good, and similar to Witcher, it's like a sword based dodge centric, and then like throwing magic in there. So it's not so like there is like blocking. There's not parrying. Like it's not a game where they want you to turtle. They described it more as Devil May Cry than Souls. Even though a lot of the like the look, like some of the scale of the bosses is like, oh, I'm supposed to turtle like I'm fighting a Souls boss, and like actually punish you for that. You really want to like go in and be aggressive. So and it had one really cool thing where to stun an enemy that's approaching you. I forgot to ask how to do it, so I didn't do it when I played. You can hold up your sword and bend the sun's light and put it in their eyes.
Oh, wow. That's
a lot of the
neat.
game is built around stunning. So like there are different attacks that are specifically about stunning a character. And one of them is like, if like a soldier is running at you, you can hold up your sword, bend. I think it just does it. I don't think you have to like. It'd be much funnier if you like move the analog stick.
I literally
to, like, hit
thought
the light.
of what was it? Shadow of the Colossus, when you're like trying to like find the beam for the next.
And it was like this soldier, like this, like in this like combat demo area. There, like the soldier like comes up at you and you bend the sword, and he's like, and then you could attack him. It was a neat little touch. And then,
Did you see that big worm?
The Dune Awakening. Isn't that what they
worm?
The Dune worm.
It's a big worm.
Where is it?
You just walk right.
It's
right
like
down
the first thing, right?
Yeah.
You go right past the Larian booth, which
will they let you touch Shai Hulud?
No, it's behind it.
It's behind us. You can. I mean, I think if you've got the wingspan for it, you might be able to.
Yeah.
Give it a little pet. Right behind the Larian booth, that I think they just reused last year's Larian booth.
I think they're just gonna keep doing that for like.
It's like it looks. I'm like, that looks really familiar.
Are they just like so? What are they?
They
showing?
just sell merch and they have like their like the big expensive like
they have a board game. I think that's more
board
recent.
game, but also like they over the years have built like really expensive not models but like like statues of like, characters and stuff like that. There's a lot of like take photo
the Nautilus thing.
Yeah, are they still going to be like promoting Baldur's Gate stuff? That's going to go back to like.
I think they just want Larian is
the brand
is a brand and.
Right.
I'm still mad that they canceled that turn-based Divinity game that I played at a PAX East years ago. Like they did, like, or it was a tactics game.
Oh shit!
I played through the demo of it. I think with Austin, and they ended up just not feeling it and canceling it not long.
I was gonna say, did Baldur's Gate bump that? Or
no,
was it just
no. It was like a side thing. They were like, maybe we could do like if we already doing a turn-based RPG, couldn't we? There's a lot of couldn't naturally we do a tactics game in this universe and they ended up getting away from it, but it was pretty neat because the whole thing about Divinity and Baldur's Gate is like manipulating elemental objects and stuff like that. The last thing I would point out that I thought was interesting, I think I'm gonna run out of like we're recording this like starting in the morning, like bleeding into lunchtime. Like the day is gonna get away from me, and I don't know if I'll have time to actually go do a proper interview. But I don't know if you've noticed this, Kato, because you've spent more time in the tabletop areas. Like I have explicitly seen signs about tariffs and stuff like that. Like one.
Oh yeah.
I saw one sign in particular. Let me pull up the photo. Where are you? Oh yeah. There's a sign that says tariffs hurt you. We pay them. Our costs go up. We raise prices. Your costs go up. Step 3? Question mark. Step 4. Yay, America is great. And this was in front of like people who sell like like a family card game, like sort of
right,
a party game.
Yeah.
And I also went and chatted with Genki, who's an accessory maker, makes a lot of Switch stuff, currently being sued by Nintendo for their shenanigans at CES. They had a sign up that said, "We are not partnered with." Felt like very much a lawyer told you to put that sign up. But I briefly chatted with the CEO, and I was like, "How are you dealing with the tariffs?" He's like, "I just try not to think about them." And realistically, he's like, "It's easy for the stuff that's like the plastic mold stuff, like cases, things like that.
Sure,
that's easy to handle." He's like, "But some of the more popular stuff, like they make it. Genki makes a portable dock, which is like just looks like a big AC plug, but it can function as a dock. It's got an HDMI out." He's like, the batteries and electronic, like there's just nowhere else to get them. Like they're just in China. And so he's like, well, we just wake up every day and hope things are a little bit different. And you got that. I saw multiple instances of that throughout the show floor of people like putting up little signifiers of like, hey, by the way, like the reason these prices are the way they are is in part because
100%.
Like the tariffs. So I don't know if you've noticed any of that while walking around.
Yeah, I mean, even Netrunner, like they're like avoiding some of that by using different like card printers, but there was like we can't eat it used to be free shipping. They can't eat the shipping anymore because now they have to like avoid tariffs as well. So they're like
that's part of their margins back is paying heavy.
Yeah, and like they don't like need like entirely like huge margins either because they're like that company is non-for-profit, but like they do still care about having enough money to pay contractors for their artwork because that's all paid work.
Not-for-profit or non-profit does not mean don't need money.
Don't need money, right? Sure, but like even their whole thing is that all the main people who work at the company are volunteers. Nobody who works for Null Signal gets paid money. Because everyone does just like out of like the love for the game.
Sure.
But you can't do that for like, hey, cool artist that used to get paid by Fantasy Flight or like does work on Magic. Will you make us a piece of art for a card for free? No, that's not gonna happen. So like that's where all that money goes back into. It's just making it look really nice. But like they were like, we're not gonna have enough money for the next set if
things stay as they are.
These tariffs, so like the prices had to go up by like $5, I think, on all the sets. So it's slightly more expensive if you want to buy the printed sets, but that company also still releases. You can download all of the cards in Netrunner on their website because they also want just like the widest base as possible. So you don't have to buy from them if you want to get in. But yeah, it also like had a conversation with some people who came by the Netrunner booth to play. They were like fans. They were like, hey, But we got to talking about other games that we liked, and one of them was friends with someone from Greater Than Games, which recently got closed. They made such games as Spirit Island. I don't know if you've heard of that board game. It's a really neat game where you play what's the area like spirits from folklore in like Oceania.
Okay.
And you're driving away colonizers from this island.
Okay.
And so like the goal is to like get them off the island. It's really fun, like super well designed. They also made a card game called Compile that I really enjoyed, which was just a really cool, very quick like lane battler where you have 3 lanes and you're playing cards into these lanes that kind of combo with each other, and like you have to get to a certain like score in each lane to win. They went down because of the tariffs. Like they went under. They were about to release a new like series of Compile, and it was just like, god damn it! Like they had announced it to press, but then not made a public announcement, and like they were like gonna announce it at PAX East. Like they had already like bought the like space. Like there's like empty spaces where you can see like in that tabletop area where it's like that those people probably just don't exist, right? Like there was gonna be a booth here. Like they even laid out the like little carpet rectangle for for them, and it's like, well, they're not here anymore. It's rough out there for sure.
Well,
and we're at the start.
Yeah, and this is just
this has barely
come
started.
on. They made a deal with the UK that seemed like the UK just said whatever you want, dear leader.
I have board game Kickstarters that are like, we can't make plans because we don't know where it's going.
Right.
Yeah.
Like they're in production and they're currently being produced in China already. They're like halfway through the print run and are just like, we'll see when it's time to put it on the freighter where things are at, but that's still a couple months out anyway, so we don't know.
Well, and the UK deal's just funny because like the UK went through this when they're trying to negotiate their Brexit exit, which was like they basically were like, well, we still want
we want the
trade.
good stuff.
Yeah, and it was like, well,
you don't get the good stuff.
You had that as a member of the European Union,
right?
But now all of us have trade deals with the trade partners we need. We'll work around you for a while until we iron things out. And so the degree to which it's like, well, we'll do a trade deal with the UK, which I'm not sure is actually there's questions about like, can the president do a trade deal without, again, the reason these trade agreements are such a big deal is instead of a series of like bilateral agreements, you have everyone buying into one agreed upon framework that like all future deals like slide under.
Right.
The minute you go to the sort of item by item, party by party mode, it's just like a massive amount of work, and now there's like no good faith. But anyway, the notion that we're going to have these negotiations with the UK, it's like, well, of course they'll do the negotiations. They already like slipped on this banana peel. But it's like they had the exact same thought, which is like, we'll negotiate better deals that are better for us than this horrible EU deal.
Yeah.
And like none of that panned out. So of course we can get to the front of the line with a US trade deal, which will still suck compared to what existed before.
Right. Great. Love it.
Yeah. Just some other news, I guess, before we move on. So, big news in my world. There's a new Europa Universalis headed our way.
Okay.
The age of Europa Universalis 4 is ending. We turn our gaze toward Europa Universalis 5. Now, I am super curious about how this is going to work out, because EU4 was a huge game for Paradox. In some ways, it's like it's funny. I think you could still argue it's like their crown jewel, except that I think Crusader Kings might be like it's the like your sort of perfect form of a Paradox game is probably Universalis. That is sort of like where that studio that was its bread and butter. But Crusader Kings has like been this breakthrough crossover thing that more people play and enjoy, and generates, let's face it, like goofier, funnier stories than EU is capable of doing. So the other issue that you're gonna hit with a thing like this is, we were talking about this on stream the other day. EU4 is a game with tons of content expansions that have happened over the years. Anytime you do a sequel, it's kind of tough to say, like, oh, we're going to go back down to a base game. But you almost have to control scope. But even Crusader Kings 3 ran into some of this issue where people were like, there's less game here than there was in Crusader Kings 2. And it's like, well, that is true, because Crusader Kings 2 had like years and years of expansions behind it and like new mechanics designed. But at some point you need to move on from that. Like these sorts of generational changeovers it's the type of stuff that makes people adopt like the forever game live service model. You just like blanch at the thought of telling people that the thing you've spent a decade building and improving is going to go away, and now you have to sort of reset the timer.
People in our chat for the Civ 7 games are like, oh, they cut out the like the future age, like it just only goes to modern. And I'm like, but it's a new game. There's like different systems here. I don't know that. Yeah. It doesn't feel like a short game.
No, it does not.
So
not the way we play.
Well, yeah, I mean that's a whole different. But so like, it feels like a weird thing to just be like reflexive. Like, it feels almost reflexive. It's like, oh, they took a thing out. It's like, well, no, they just didn't build it, and they are going to add it later.
Well, that era has been a part of Civ games for a while. You know what I mean? It's like one of those things where they're kind of like, well, you know, the traditional like end game era of a Civ, that's not part of the game right now. That is sort of
they changed the whole
structure of the game.
Structure, right? So that's part of why it feels less like something is missing. Although people just like want that, like the technology, the space race part. Like I understand, it's like been long in the franchise's history. So.
The other thing the thing I'm really curious about though is this is coming from their Tinto studio, which is I think it's their Barcelona-based studio. And the thing so there's a story that a game developer ran a few weeks ago about Brian Francis wrote this April 24th. Paradox Interactive's return to office policy may be driving employees away from the studio. That Paradox, like a lot of studios, is sort of like, you know, hey, come on back to the office. Like, it's so good to collaborate and work together in person, etc. As far as I understand it, one of the major reasons that Paradox has a studio in Barcelona is because one of the studio founders moved to Barcelona.
Can we do that?
Yeah, we should do that.
Sure.
We should
So we've got Remap Paris opening in August.
Right. Pokemon Unite.
Exactly.
And then Remap Barcelona, like
we could
fall 2025.
We could just fucking leave.
Pokemon.
We could just leave.
We could simply leave. We'll
itinerant Remap.
The Remap nomads. Just spread out across even more distant time zones.
Just absolutely like quarter-second delays between things people are saying. Absolute podcast magic.
We have the window, the 1 3-hour window that works for France, Spain, and the U.S.
So there's a few things about this. So the core like Paradox Grand Strategy games, as far as I know, generally have been made out of their Stockholm studio, and the rap on them was always kind of a Blizzard situation in some ways. Like Stockholm is an expensive city to live in by Swedish or like just European standards. It's a gorgeous city. It's awesome, but it is pricey. It's gotten a lot pricier. And Paradox, because they tend to recruit a lot from their fan base and sort of a passion first like studio.
Oh, like a family.
Yeah,
I love that our fans are so passionate about our products that they'd like to join the Paradox family. Our family, the dinner table is at an office.
Well, and also,
do they have it for
your
breadsticks though?
And also, like, you wouldn't ask your family for that much money, like. And so the rap on Paradox has been for years that, like, if you're one of the, like, you know, founders or like early hires at Paradox, like, great place to work. It's awesome. If you're someone who sort of came during sort of when the studio grew a great deal, it's sort of the Blizzard situation where you're not really paid what is standard for these positions, and you also have to deal with a lot of the whiplash of Paradox kind of operating in a small agile mode where, because like how they all
agile
learn,
you say,
well, like where how they all learn to make games is like literally a half dozen people like making games.
Wow, yeah,
that just doesn't scale. Like you have people who like have brilliant ideas and just start like ripping up code and implementing stuff, you know, out of nowhere. And in the end, that's good for the game. But that is a hell of a lot more disruptive when suddenly you have dozens of people working on a game and not just like a half dozen. And so there have been a lot of issues with growth out of that Stockholm studio and working conditions there, and sort of the caste system a little bit that's cropped up between like studio veterans and then the people they've sort of bulked up with. And I think to an extent, the Barcelona studio was kind of meant to address some of that, where it's like, we're going to have one of our co-founders, like he's moving to Barcelona because he wants to be in Barcelona. Who wouldn't? But also now there'll be a studio sort of co-located around, I think it's Johan Andersson who's down there. And, that'll work. It'll be sort of a studio built around him and the games he wants to make. But their first outings, I don't think, have been super promising. Like they don't have the institutional expertise of the Stockholm offices. Right. So I'm really curious how this is going to work, because this is like EU5 will be a big deal,
right? And
this is going to a team that like I don't know yet that they've established themselves as like a peer to the core Paradox studio that made CK and EU. Sorry, Kato.
Well, I was just gonna ask, what have they made? What are they?
I think they made Imperator. And that was their Roman game. And it was not super well received. It was one of those things where like, well, you know, I'm sorry, I'm trying to patch it.
Oh no.
And there's some people like who will argue it got patched in a pretty good shape. And I trust the people who say that. Like they are huge like Roman Empire nerds, but like they did end up in a happy place with the game. But it also did end up being a bit of a bust. I don't know if it was Tinto specifically. But yeah, I don't know that because some of this they sweep it under the rug with like it's Paradox Development Studio, PDS, but that now has different teams under that umbrella. So yeah, I'm super curious how this is going to work out, because it's like this happening right as a lot of people in the studio are complaining about like, hey, you need to come back to the office. And then also one of the offices kind of exists so that somebody can live in their preferred location.
Yeah. That's
which is like very old school Vice vibes too. Like, why do we have to live in fucking Williams? Why do we have to work in Williamsburg? Because your C-suite execs like Williamsburg.
It's funny. I was one of the interviews. I don't know if it'll go up maybe the week after, but I've done a handful of interviews here. One was with a horror publisher called Dread XP, and
I want their booth fucking swamped every time I walk by there. I haven't gotten a chance to get into.
There's a couple cool things they do that they go into in the interview. One of it is like they don't set up booths for like each of their games. The laptops are full of everything they've ever published. So it's like if you like Dread XP and you want to try something else, you can try anything else.
That's
so
cool.
we get into that in the interview. But one thing that he one of the guys who runs the company pointed out was like they have now institutionally it is a rule all pitches are remote. They don't like they do all their pitches like remotely because they want to be able to have any developer feel like they could approach them, and like it's not because you didn't make it to GDC or DICE or some other place where like you could get in front of them. He's like, now we just do all of our pitches remote. It's always that way so that like we can have the widest possible base of folks who like could think that they might theoretically be able to be published through us, and it's not because you didn't have the money to make it to San Francisco, which I thought was a cool way of approaching it.
That is good, yeah.
The other bit of news, this sort of came out of, I had missed this when the EA layoffs announced, but they canceled all future rally games from Codemasters.
I almost brought it up, but the podcast was like, we hit the 3-hour mark, and I was like, I don't think I can bring up these rally games as we're heading towards the end of this. But I was curious, because they didn't just like cancel the game. They've just said they're just going, like,
we're not making rally games.
We're not making rally games. We're unsure what we're going to do with the team. It's kind of the vibe I got from the announcement, which isn't good.
Well, no, and also like...
So that was a specific team within Codemasters, or just Codemasters in general?
I don't know how their structure is.
Sure.
Codemasters has grown a great deal. They've acquired tons of studios over the years. Like Codemasters used to make a handful of core games, like Toco Race Driver, stuff like that was Codemasters. Rally games are part of that DNA. Like Codemasters was a generalist racing arcade simcade, I think is the space they were in. They were a generalist studio that made very good games in that vein. And Rally was a huge part of that. And then over the years, Codemasters became like, we're going to acquire a lot of other studios and specialize in racing. And then EA got them, and you started having more officially licensed stuff. But Rally's always been part of it.
Right, yeah.
To say we're not making any more Rally is like that theme of that point about institutional expertise.
Right.
We're just going to put a flamethrower to that. Like, this is one of those things where if Codemasters Rally people like can't make Rally games anymore, and you make the decision like, what are we doing with all these like Rally developers? Let's cut them. That can't just be put back together.
Yeah.
That is a and what's really killer about this is it's been a few years now, but like the Dirt Rally games that they were making are like beloved from the standpoint. This was not a exhausted, like we've kind of like run out of inspiration and interest in this field. Like Codemasters Rally stuff was really, really good. The other thing I'm having trouble parsing is that there's sort of, as part of this, they got the exclusive license to the World Rally Championship, which is sort of the F1 of the rally world. And
that's what those games are called.
WRC,
right?
yeah.
WRC.
But here's the weird thing. I think they only made one game with the WRC license of late, because I think prior to that, this French studio that now made the new test drive, KT or Kiloton, they were making rally games that were also quite good. That series is gone. And so this is like a massive net loss for like people like rally games too, because you had you had Codemasters making their own rally games. Then you had like Kiloton making rally games that were officially licensed. The license went to Codemasters. Now you're getting no fucking rally games. Jesus. Not an official one, not unofficial like Codemasters ones. Yeah. Just the entire and KT is off making a test drive game that no one really likes because it's also not their primary wheelhouse. It's a really good example of like 5 years ago, you could say like, man, like rally racing is in a really robust place on PC and video games. You got good options.
A bit of a rally renaissance.
Yeah. Rallyssance. Yeah.
Rallyssance.
And now it's, we're kind of burning down the cathedral, basically.
Ugh. Yeah.
And it's unclear to me, what's going to be left after this. Because
your best case scenario is like a group of them see the writing on the wall, don't want to become I don't know, guys, you got any Need for Speed ideas? You know what I mean? Like, which is what they did with Criterion, right? That's what they're working on or did work on. I've like lost the plot on some of that stuff these days. But your best case scenario is like, the future is not here. EA, some core group leaves, spins off, gets funding to like pick up where they left off. But there's no guarantee of that. Like,
yeah, I just have, yeah, like. I have no idea what happens in a situation like this because Codemasters, does that mean they're basically just the F1 studio now? And is that like, what is the appetite level for a yearly F1 franchise?
Right.
Like, it's worked out, but I just don't know that they've tried to lean into the EA Sports of it all. Like, they put up videos where like F1 drivers reacting to their EA Sports ratings in F1. It's like, that doesn't mean the same thing.
That is only culturally relevant in football.
Yeah.
American football.
Yeah.
Like, and they do. Like, American football players care deeply about their Madden ratings. Like, that's not like a bit.
Because it means like this guy is not as fast as he thinks he is.
Well, it's similar.
Right.
Like you'll see like folks like literally appealing to EA publicly to like get their like scores changed, and it's similar to the way they one up each other with their contracts. Like,
Yeah,
sure.
It's a way of like fun beefing with you know, your contemporaries on different teams.
Yeah, so I really wonder what that signifies for the future of Codemasters.
Nothing good.
Nothing good.
There's no.
Seem great.
It's like it's one thing to be like, we're not making Rally, but we're excited to announce that they're doing this. It's just like, and it's not even we're not doing Rally because we've decided to sell the studio to a company that like actually wants to do this, and this is not within like just saying. It sounds like they probably were working on a follow up. They canceled that game. And now you have a team, and where are they working on the vehicles of the new Battlefield? You know what I mean? Like, what? That's a strange spot to be in.
Yeah. Dwindling opportunities to actually make stuff at EA, as is the case with any of the large publishers. That's about it for today, right? You want to hit the inbox before we bounce?
A question or two before we.
Yeah. Let's see here. Mikey from Colorado writes, what is your favorite game on its hardest difficulty? My favorite is Last of Us Part 1. The harder the difficulty for that game, the less damage the guns do and the less accurate they are. On the hardest difficulty, almost every encounter has a stealth path that you're absolutely going to need to master to make it past. Ammo is so rare that a bottle is more useful than finding a bullet or two that won't do much damage. It's a very different experience than the regular difficulty. So any like hard mode classics for you that stand out?
Mine's easy. Destiny 2 raids on contest mode, which was this thing that they did where they always have a raid race. The race is launched. The first team
First to finish.
They started making wrestling style title belts for the winners of the raid race. But one of the issues that they ran into with earlier raids was that if someone wanted to, say, spend 40 hours of their life leveling, they could out-level the raid before the raid actually released, because it's usually a gap. They do like a week of like story time like narrative stuff for like the launch of the expansion, then a week of like the story happening that leads into narratively into the raid happening. And that was your time to get like up to raid level. So they did this thing called contest mode, where for that first week that the raid or for that first weekend that the raid is out, you are basically level capped. So there's a cap after which grinding for levels is not going to help you anymore. It's tuned to like be really difficult because you're always under leveled technically for the raid. So enemies hit harder. It's more dangerous. Your weapons do less, so you have to be more on your game. And that specific tuning, I think they hit it really well. Like, it's so fun. It's, people have likened it to, like, the hardest, like, Halo difficulties, right? Like, so where they really just, like, tune it to be, like, it's not impossible, but, like, you have to be on your shit about where the enemies are coming from and where your placements are. Like, you can't stop thinking about what the combat zone is like, and you're doing this in the raid, which also has mechanics outside of puzzles and shit in the middle of fights. It's exhilarating. I love it. And it's definitely my favorite. Like, yeah, give me that hardest shit version. I want to do that more. And then after the weekend is over and someone's already won, they turn that off, and like once you've out leveled the raid, it like loses some of that bite, honestly. And like it's like it's great that it's also like you can do that. Obviously, like that having that lever is really great, but it's also one of those things that's difficult to do yourself once you've out leveled the raid to like go back down. You'd have to just keep like a very specific set of armor. It's annoying. Like you can't hit that lever again. But for those weekends, like that was like choice Destiny 2.
For me, it is music games. I always get annoyed in music games where the higher difficulty is just more notes. Like, it's like a bullet hell equivalent. Like, there's just more for you to do, as opposed to it is more accurately represent. Like, I like it when difficulty scales on a music game, whereas, like, the harder you get, it's, like, more accurate to, like, what it feels like to do this, like, to do the song or in rhythm with the music. And sometimes you'll play games where you crank up the difficulty. And you're just spamming icons for me to hit. This isn't about, like, the music. It's just about more things to do. And so... like, anytime a game, and like, you know, Rock Band was a great example of this. Like, playing on Expert felt like you were at least approximating like some version of like engaging with like core elements of the music. And like, yes, you're doing a much simplified version of like interacting with the instrument, but it felt like some like metaphorical I know, I'm so mad that I will never not be upset that Rock Band didn't survive long enough to the live service era, in which you could have just paid for like a subscription to get all of the music.
They kind of started part of that, right?
It did. It sort of like
limped along on like.
Limped along. Like,
you can just hey, here's some new songs we made charts for, right? Like,
because I stopped buying music because I was like, I'm not gonna pay $15 like a pack. I would have paid $15 a month
for just all
in
of
perpetuity,
right?
Like forever,
right? God,
that would have been my subscription.
They could have been like the Planet Fitness of music games.
Yes.
Like, why are we still paying $20 a month for Rock Band?
I would have been.
I'm gonna pull out that fucking drum set. Don't worry.
I would have been happy. I bought that new one, the Riffmaster or whatever.
Ooh.
They put out a new, not harmonics, but a peripheral company put out a good new guitar alongside that Rock Band festival. Not whatever that music, rock bandy thing that Harmonix made. Now that they're owned by Epic, but that just has stayed in the box. I haven't actually opened it, but yeah, music games where the notes scale to feel like you're really engaging with what the actual music is definitely like one of the few times that I actually scale difficulty for how I play.
Last of Us is a good pull. I have never had the fortitude to go full like max difficulty because I do occasionally want if it's too much stealth. Like, I want the ability to eventually be like, you know what, fuck it. These clickers are going down. Yeah. I want that ability. If that's kind of taken out of the toolbox, then I'm less into it.
Fuck it, we ball.
But I do like that on the lowest difficulties, it doesn't fully become like Uncharted, but it's like not entirely alien to the Uncharted experience. But it like becomes a very different experience based on like where you're targeting that. And my personal like favorite example for this, just because it's been like, I guess on my brain, is another Bungie game. It's Myth, where it has the classic Bungie difficulty where like I think heroic is the way the game was meant to be played. Normal is, whatever. And then they had Legendary, which is just brutally hard. But by that point, like, first time I played it on normal, I'm like, this is pretty hard. Like, this like, it's a fantasy medieval like zombie apocalypse type thing. And so you're already like, this is a lot of fucking monsters I got to deal with. You crank it up to Legendary, it's like, I don't even know where to begin with this. This is now like, the numbers are so overwhelming. You have to be like inch perfect on where you're microing those troops and like timing out like how they're going to be retreating and like making space when to swoop in on the enemy. You have to maximize everything you're doing, and it becomes a super memorable and like demanding but rewarding experience, right? It doesn't feel cheap, which is I think of the key thing. Like sometimes I remember in Call of Duty, if you play it on the hardest difficulty, it just meant that the minute you broke cover, somebody would headshot you. Just like instantaneously, like an AI soldier is just like plink, you were down. And so you couldn't do anything kind of fun in the game anymore. You basically had to like know where soldiers were going to be and like lean out and headshot them immediately, or otherwise you get got. It turned into a really annoying like sniper camping fest in some ways. And Myth was really good at the game is hard as hell, but it still has a feeling of like fairness or internal consistency. You still kind of feel like you're playing the story of this ragtag band of warriors like beating incredible odds, not that you are trying to overcome a deck that is just like hopelessly stacked against you by a level designer. So yeah, that's probably mine.
Nice.
I think we can leave it there for today.
Yeah, she has to turn this around before.
Yeah,
an hour and a half. We have a meetup,
God
so
damn it.
we should wrap it up so we can let that.
Hang on,
happen.
Chia, I've got great news. You now have an official excuse to skip the meetup. You don't have to see people
if you can hear them. Oh my god!
I just know it was like I remember last year. Have your feelings changed about it at all? You like obviously we love our fans, we love our audience. But also, hang with people we don't know real well and go in an extrovert mode. It can be tough.
Yeah. I don't, love the idea of it in general, but I'm less worried about it this time.
All right.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That was more like anxious, just a generalized anxiety, not specific or rational.
All right.
But
so, folks, if Chia ends up not making to this one, it's just because
the irrational part took over.
Yeah.
No, it's just because it went too long and she had to be producing.
God damn it.
Did it die?
No, we're good. I'm just looking at the time. We got 121 on
Oh yeah,
this.
you're screwed.
50.
I'm
not doing.
And with that,
there aren't dogs here, so I'm not.
Slapdash production.
Exactly, 100%.
The mics are better than when we did it at New York, so it should be,
Yeah.
Woof woof.
all right.
Oh no,
Woof, woof.
I have to cut.
Oh no, now we got a dog.
Woof woof.
That is a better poodle sound in
Thank you.
the background. That concludes another episode of Remap Radio. This episode, warts and all, produced by Chia Contreras. The Remap Radio theme is by Tumelo. You can check out his work on tumelo.net. You can follow everything we do at Remap Radio on Twitch, Blue Sky, Twitter, YouTube, and other platforms. Once again, we rely on our audience for support, and you can sign up to become a member by going to remapradio.com and clicking the sign up button in the upper right. Basic subscriptions get you access to the ad-free version of this podcast, our special interview episodes, of which we may have a few coming up, plus the Chicago Theology podcast that Patrick and I will start recording about every month, very very soon. Library tier members are the backbone of the website. They get access to special premium
I have to edit
podcasts.
that on Sunday night, huh?
What?
Oh,
The HOA.
Yeah. I had
That is on you. That was done.
we had to go
Yeah,
we had to go to a what comes first? Not confirmation. Communion.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Had to go to one of those. Like, we're not, a religious family, but it was, someone important to us, so we went. And I'm then realizing, and I told my wife as we're walking, I was like, shit, the kids are going to ask a bunch of questions that we're not really equipped to answer. We'll just roll with it. We'll just see what happens.
Sure.
Well,
But-
if it's at mass, and they're gonna figure out you don't know what the fuck you're doing real fast.
It's not, no, it's more like
Standing up. Oh shit.
that part is easy. Like, it's like, do we believe in God? And I'm like that stuff. And the 8-year-old, like, I can level with her. The 5-year-old, she was asking, like, now again, if you've given no context for, she's like, why is that motherfucker like nailed up on a cross up there? And it's like, oh,
That
Jesus
seems
Christ. And so
rough.
she's asking me a bunch of questions.
Yes, Patrick.
And at one point, she goes, like, what's prayer? Like, why is everyone praying? I was like, oh, well, like, like the God that they believe in, like, sometimes, like, listens to the prayers. She's like, do you pray? And I was like, no, like, not really. He's like, well, he's going to listen to my prayers and not yours. And I was like,
That's how they get you. That's how they get you.
Amazing.
we got to get out of this fucking church.
Yeah.
Soon, like, she's gonna come back like, I've joined Opus Dei. Oh no. Not that. Don't worry. Pope Leo will shut their asses down. Anyway, Library Tier also members get access to premium articles where Patrick and I shoot the shit about whatever is on our mind. And they know they're going that extra distance to support the site. It also helps us make time for streaming. This week there was more Hop Shot. Things are going well, I assume, with the hopping and the shotting.
We are. Yeah. The hope is in the air.
Yeah. I think
like literally in a fan.
Right. Oh God, though.
But I have to go through the water sequence again.
That
every time I fail the fan,
I know.
I'm gonna have to go. We're gonna have to repeat. We're gonna have to find repeatability.
The sand,
in
the water. That's not even. We saw the fan. We saw the air.
The fans. It's bad.
The fans are not.
I think that's it though. My belief is like that is the final area.
Yeah.
The costume will get me there.
Yeah. There's a fan.
There's
a fan in the
costume.
Oh my God!
Yeah. I believe.
It's all coming together.
I believe.
Exciting stuff.
I believe. I believe.
And also, Kato and I finally completed my section of our Civilization game. Basically, having inaugurated an era of Hawaiian global dominance.
Yeah.
And
you're not wrong.
Now, it was like everyone, like, there's different victory conditions you're pursuing. We pursued all of them.
Oh.
And we achieved most of them.
We achieved 2 of them. Of the 4.
Nobody else did shit, though.
No, they were all too busy being mad at us and waging wars that they kept losing.
So it is a weird thing where...
I'm worried about the next...
The way their diplomacy system works is like everyone's sort of locked into hating us and they would just declare war. Yeah. Whether or not that was a good decision or not.
Right.
Like, there was a point where somebody we'd beaten the shit out of, like, 3 times, was like, I'm declaring war on you. And it's like...
You have 3 less cities than the first time you declared war.
Yeah.
You sure you want to do that again?
And so we just beat the shit out of them. It was like, give us that other, that city you founded or replace the ones we took away from you.
Hand that over.
We need that one too.
Yeah.
So that was a bit goofy, but yeah, we like built every wonder, dominated the globe.
Yeah.
And I'm real curious now. I'm turning control back over to Kato for this next section. It is a finely tuned war machine that we've built, but also it's a finely tuned culture and wonder machine.
Yeah.
So,
well, see, this is the part about the ages thing that is really interesting, is that I set up the culture and wonders tracks really well, and those were the 2 that we were able to finish in the second age. So I'm like, I did a good job setting that up for you, I think. I'm worried that the next age, given that we're past exploration, like
it's back to war.
I'm worried that now we're gonna have to start warring with people across the sea.
You're warring.
Yeah.
That'll be here's what's so funny though about this. Kato talks a good game about like, no, we should be culture, we shouldn't do war.
A small little civilization beam.
But then I'm like, well, and the thing is, Kato will say all that, and I'm like, I think we should do this, and Kato's like, but if we did this, it would destroy them so much more effectively.
Oh right, oh yeah, we could ask them for that city in this peace proposal.
Yeah, no,
we're 2 turns away from just
going to destroy them. We might as well min-max it.
It's like Kato thinking about war in the abstract. No war, boo. Thinking about war is optimization problem.
Strategy, yeah.
Yep. Hang on, I think I think we can do this one a little better. It's like, you know what, Kato, you're so right.
We were already in it. What was I gonna do? Like, yeah,
True.
we just
go ahead, burn that city to ash. And with that, that will do it for this episode of Remap Radio. We'll be back next week with another episode. Until then, thanks so much for choosing to spend some of your time with us. Fuck capitalism. Come to beautiful Boston.